Okay, let's blast it off. Okay, so Israel big mad about Brandon saying enough, and UN General Assembly recognizing Palestine. Is Biden Hamas? Yeah, I saw the tiny paper shredder bit. TikTok is doing a block list of celebs. What else is happening in the world before I forget? What else was I going to talk about? Oh, you laugh, you lose with Jarvis to raise funds for Palestine. Later, get in now. I did the UNGA already. I mentioned it. Do we have hey chat, do we have a good dude? Shut the fuck up about Operation Olive Branch. Okay, I get it. You're like fucking 16 years old and you're on TikTok. Like, we're trying to raise funds for a specific legally designated organization. You're not actually being helpful when you turn around and go, hey, look at this Google Doc with a bunch of fucking GoFundMes we've collected. Okay, Jesus Christ. Like, I know Operation Olive Branch is great, but it's like, it's crazy. It's like I'm currently trying to fucking raise money, raise funds, and you're talking about like raise funds specifically for what? I don't know. This Google Doc. Just look at this Google Doc. Like, do you know what it is that you're promoting in the chat? It's good. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing at all. But like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, please go what happened at the pro-Palestine encampment at U Calgary last night. Do we have a blast off meme or not? Do we? Can you please play chess? I am not a paranoid schizo. Says, can you please play chess? No. What the fuck is this? Okay, this is a very deep fried meme and very weird, but I'm just gonna use it. Okay, there it is. This is the weirdest shit I've ever used in my life. What the hell is going on? I'm running with it. Who cares? Let's do it. Let's blast off. Have you seen the Eurovision shit that happened? No, because I don't care about Eurovision at all. I've never cared about Eurovision, even when I was in Turkey, and that was like something that Turkish people cared about a lot at all. But overall, I just like don't understand like what happened. People are protesting Israel or something, right? Ireland went crazy with it. You already used my meme with the red watermark. You literally can't go any lower. This is fine. This rule. Sorry about all the times I said your fake country should be dissolved. Oh yeah. Netherlands team potentially kicked out for fighting with Israelis. Wait, really? They didn't let Russia participate and are now pretending it's not political. Yeah, bro, everybody has the fucking smoke for Russia, but then when it comes to Israel, they're like, actually, we just realized that. Why are you bringing politics into this? You know what I mean? Why are you bringing politics into this while also simultaneously being very anti-Semitic? And it's just like, bro, what are you saying right now? Like, what are you saying? Like, how can you fucking run around and be like, we cannot believe how unjustifiable Russia has been, and then be like, Israel is doing Russia shit and has been doing Russia shit times like 2, okay, with America's go ahead, but that's perfectly valid, is perfectly fine. What are we doing here? Anyway, yeah, CNN actually got a fucking whistleblower finally doing some goddamn investigative reporting, by the way. CNN released images of the Israeli torture camp Sde Taiman in the Negev desert, where Israel perpetrates grave crimes against Palestinian prisoners abducted from Gaza. You know, fucking concentration camp, call it what it is. Most moral army, by the way. You already know, by the way. The morality is through the fucking roofs. Best democracy in the world, by the way. Nobody touches this democracy. You should take a law or social related course in college. It's amazing how much love you have for political discourse. Brother, this is what I studied. Yeah, we'll do the fucking UN General Assembly vote, which is a big deal. Check logs, it's important. Chat, who wants to help? Top of the hour ad break. Jabait Hassan, can you explain how you're a socialist but own a Taycan and a 10K tub? Check logs, dude. It's important. I'm giving you a day off for this, okay? You're like I think we have literally hit like such stupidity, like new lengths in like bad baits, that it turned around and caught me again. You know what I mean? Like, we have literally hit the rock bottom of chatters doing fucking double baits, so much so that it's not even a bait. It's him asking other chatters, hey, can you help me? do a top of the hour ad break debate. It's out of control. We need to put an end to this. We need to start doing better baits. Yeah, it was a real mission failed successfully moment. So yeah, at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break chat. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. As always, you can also get gifted a sub. Finally, the State Department is coming out and stating that Israel has been following the law. How wonderful. Hey guys, please don't believe your lying eyes, okay? Don't believe it. At the top of the hour, however, there is a 3-minute ad break, so you should believe it. Thank you, Sue Kisix, for the 5 community. Give the subs a line. 5 people no longer see the ad breaks at the top of the hour. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. Israel will be out here like, we are doing war crimes. We love doing genocide. It's our favorite thing to do. Palestinians deserve it. Also, we're going to keep doing genocide no matter what you tell us. And America's like, they didn't mean it. They didn't mean, listen, they didn't mean it. They didn't mean that they were doing genocide. Hey, guys, I know you saw the reports of all of the hospitals blown up. I know you saw all of the schools have been blown up. I know you saw that they're like potentially torturing people in these like black site facilities that they've developed in the Negev desert. But it's like, but have you considered that maybe they're just joking? And also totally not real. Israel is small bean. They are a neurodivergent and minor nation. Okay. Yeah. It's just sometimes we try really hard and then we just keep having a sequence of oopsies over and over again. And before you know it, it's like, oopsie, we just did a genocide, right? But don't say that. Don't use that word. Obviously that's a legal term and we don't like using that. We don't like using that term at all. We don't like using that. We don't like mentioning that at all. It's just they were doing a prank. They were doing a prank, and Israel has a right to defend itself. Also, have you considered that maybe you have ancient, like not just normal, not just new, not contemporary, but ancient Jew hatred in your heart? Have you perhaps considered that there is an ancient, predetermined, like biological hatred for Jews that you feel in your heart? Which is probably why you're even bringing up the fact that, you know, Israel is maybe doing some war crimes with American weapons, which would be illegal. And of course, this report in and of itself would be us, you know, being directly culpable and also offering political shield and political cover. October 7. October 7, you're anti-Semitic. Israel has a right to defend itself. You have ancient, genetic, biologically determined anti-Semitism in your heart. October 7. 12 9/11s, 15 9/11s, October 7. So yeah, that's the report. Blinken report expected to criticize Israel, but say it isn't breaking weapons terms. This report, of course, was supposed to be coming out fucking 3 days ago at this point. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is expected to submit to Congress as soon as Friday a highly critical report about Israel's conduct in Gaza that stops short of concluding that it has violated the terms for its U.S. weapons. The idea of us making a Star of David kafiyas, bro, I'm sorry, but like, this is the most expected thing of all time, dude. What are you talking about? I mean, yeah, of course Israel is going to do some Israel shit, dude. What do you mean? Like, yeah, yes, that's the least shocking thing that I have seen. Brother, I don't know if you know this, but like half of our fucking helicopters are directly either tools of the indigenous populations that we wiped out or named after the indigenous populations, the tribes that we wiped out. This is literally settler colonialism 101. It's ironic too, because like, after a certain point, the indigenous population also kind of like rides for it too. Like they like that shit. It's not even a joke. I remember reading reports about how like there was a time when they were planning on maybe like changing the names of like the Tomahawk missile or whatever, and then like indigenous tribes was like, nah, dog, that shit is cool as fuck. We love that. Please keep it. We are not at the post-genocide stage for the Palestinian population. But having said that, you know, it's something to think about. It's all fun and games until you Google some of these tribes and only car models come out. This shit is a razor, man. Yeah. Are you gonna play Hades 2? It's amazing. I am not a paranoid schizo. Probably not. I did download it, however, on my Steam Deck, so we'll see. The information is so insane. I thought the translation was off on this tweet. Blinken will submit a critical report on Israel, but will not determine that it has violated the rules for the use of American weapons. The details are on my article in Walla News. Yeah. My very native uncle has an AR mounted on his Hummer. Respect. Did you play the first Hades? I did. Show this to Twitter Radlibs. Maybe they'll finally decide Israel is problematic for doing cultural appropriation. Yeah. They're like, listen, the genocide I can excuse, but when you take the keffiyeh, and slap on the Star of David onto it and like make it the IDF and put the IDF logo or whatever on it and sell it on an IDF website, that's cultural appropriation, sweetie. That's not great. I don't like it. Maybe we're canceling Zionism now. Just kidding. That would require liberals to actually see Palestinians as human beings and their culture to be something to be preserved and protected, which they don't. And that's precisely the reason why many liberals literally will be some of the most annoying fucking woke radlibs you've ever seen in your entire goddamn lives, and they unconditionally dick ride Israel in the process of Israel doing an ethnic cleansing campaign. Because they don't see Palestinians as human beings. They don't see Muslims as human beings. They hate Muslims, and they've been conditioned into hating Muslims. They've been conditioned into hating Arabs as a whole because the war on terror happened. The war on terror happened in their most formative years, where they just basically took for granted every single piece of propaganda they saw in the media that said Arabs are dogs who deserve death and destruction because they're bad to the gays, they're bad to the women, and we have to keep killing them. Jews stole falafel. Man, shut the fuck up. No, it's not that Jews stole falafel, okay? This is a ridiculous attitude that immediately, once again, shows that you have this monolithic thinking, okay? Number one, Jews. Which Jews? The fuck do you mean Jews stole falafel? Have you met a Jewish person? Like, motherfuckers out here been like, yeah, Ashkenazi Jews stole falafel. No, they didn't. They have Jewish people as an ethno-religion come from all around the fucking world. Okay? All around the world, including Jews in the MENA region who have lived there for a very long time. Of course they have, as a consequence of living in the MENA region, falafel in their normal cuisine. The problem isn't saying that this is like a part of Jewish cuisine or whatever. The problem is when you go, this is Israeli. Israel invented this. Okay? That's the issue. Saying simultaneously that Israel is this like beacon of morality in a bad neighborhood while also constantly fucking trying to repackage a newly defined, what is the term? Hebrewized, I think, identity specific to Israel is like, you're doing culture vulture shit. Okay? It's weird as hell. It's weird behavior. It's weirdo behavior, Israel. Cut it out. You're dragging shit. Yeah. It's additionally weird because, like, you got Moroccan Jews, you got Iraqi Jews, you got Jews from the MENA region that literally the Israeli government will be like, they are not Iraqi. They are Jews. Okay? They are different. They are not Arab. They do not have Arab background. And it's like, okay, what's the food then? How did this become like a new thing? That's what happens when you're trying to recreate culture on a fucking 3,000-year religion, and you're trying to like package a new culture specifically designed around like an ethno-nationalist project that basically came to fruition in 1948. It's like there's Jews have 3,000 years of history, and dudes who love Israel are trying to fucking slam everything into the last 75 as a state. Is weirdo behavior. Anyway, I remember being like 11-year-old and some dude at the airport blew my mind when he told me our national food shakshuka is actually from Tunisia. Yeah. Hey, Aussie, my bisexual Italian roommate and I watch you every day. He's usually more into twinks, but he says that you're one of the few guys he'd let top him. His birthday's coming up and I want to get him something nice. Could you say the following words for me? Comrade Landoni, I'd top you any day, brother. Go Timbers and free Palestine. That's an insane thing that you demanded from me. There you go, though. I gave it to you. Okay, you can fucking clip it if you want. I should have stopped reading that a long time ago, but there you go. Happy birthday, Comrade Landoni. I am a man of the people. There are rules for these American weapons law. What is the rule? Use on colored peoples? Yeah. The rules for American weapons obviously get violated on a regular basis. You know, I don't know if you guys remember, but like Saudi Arabia not that long ago was doing a genocide in Yemen. Whose weapons were they using to conduct this genocide? American weapons. Whose targeting systems were they using to conduct this genocide? American targeting systems. Whose refueling capabilities they were using in the region to conduct this genocide? American refueling capabilities in the region to conduct this genocide on Yemen. So obviously it's not like we give a fuck. It's not like we actually do care. With respect to Israel, however, obviously this is like a way more prescient, like way more salient issue. People are obviously super aware, hyper aware of what the fuck's going on. So there's a lot more stink about it. But if America were to actually attribute the Leahy law to, unconditionally to every single weapons transfer that we're doing, we would literally, it would destroy the entire purpose of the military industrial complex to exist to begin with. The whole point is we do war crimes. We give people the guns to do the war crimes. What the fuck are you going to do with a gun? It's not like you're giving him fucking guns that, magically heal. You're not sending fucking healing bullets. Okay. Yeah. It's all fucking bullshit. Anyway. Yeah. America shipped a new order of tree planting guns. And like whatever the fucking laser beam that healer type characters use on fucking Overwatch and shit. Mercy. They gave you the Mercy beam. That's what they're using actually. Anyway, tree planting gun is a thing though. Yeah, well, it's not exactly a thing that they're fucking using. The bees murking the IOF is so funny. Breaking, Israeli occupation forces report 12 IDF soldiers injured after being stung by bees in the southern Gaza Strip. Yes, bro. Yes, the nature is Hamas. The bees are Hamas. And we're somehow really quiet about it when Saudi Arabia is doing it. It's taken as an acceptable reality that Muslims kill other Muslims. No questions, no extended coverage. I mean, you're talking to someone who did offer it a shit ton of extended coverage and actually was very critical of the American government continuously supplying Saudi Arabia with arms, even though Bernie Sanders actually pushed for a veto. Or Bernie Sanders actually pushed for a halt on said arms to Saudi Arabia, arms that were literally going directly to Al-Qaeda, by the way, like actually Al-Qaeda. Remember Al-Qaeda? Remember 9/11? Anyway, so no, he's not wrong though. It is a very black on black crime type attitude that America has when it comes to sheltering other countries doing horrifying shit. That's what it is. That is kind of what it is, for sure. Obviously, I have an issue with it regardless. I don't give a fuck who's doing it to who, but it definitely is like part of the reason why there isn't that much media coverage on this sort of thing, or there wasn't that much media coverage on this sort of thing. It is, of course, ironic that Israel uses that to be like, you don't care about Saudi Arabia when they are doing, Muslim on Muslim crime, or as we like to call it in Israel. I don't know why he's Norwegian now. Sorry, I don't know why I just turned my Israeli accent Norwegian. Fuck. I'm getting fucked up here. Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna do it again. You don't care when Saudi Arabia is attacking Yemen and killing Houthis with American arms doing genocide. You only care when you don't care when it's Muslim on Muslim crimes, or as we call it in Israel, Hamas on Hamas crimes. Anyway, is there really an Israeli accent? Yes, I'm doing it. Ponkotsu Punk, thank you for the 5 tier 1 gift to subs. So, son of Hamas accent is cinema. Thank you. India, aka Lion, voted in favor of UNGA resolution seeking Palestine UN membership. Yes, bro. I've said this before. Modi is a very, very interesting individual. There are conflicting feelings inside of his heart. On the one hand, he is a dog to the Western interests. On the other hand, it's like Israel is a British invention. You know what I mean? Like that's gotta fucking sting a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. You are a willing servant of the West, especially when they're like also killing Muslims. Because like Israel killing Muslims is awesome for Modi. He loves doing that. He's doing his very own, right? He's doing his own version of that in India. Okay. India also has trade relations with Israel, but simultaneously, it's like the British Empire did kind of invent Israel, and that's gotta sting a little bit. You know what I mean? Modi has literally met with Palestinian Authority shit. Like he's been to the West Bank, so it's definitely a unique perspective. Yeah, British Empire also created Pakistan. Yeah, he's got the smoke for the British Empire, is what I mean, to a certain degree. Doesn't Modi hate Muslims too? Yes. And he's also doing his own like Israel style incursions in Kashmir. So he's got his own Israel situation too. And he fucking hates Muslims. This you? What? My parents moved me across a sex offender? What? That's not me. That's Hasanabi talking about how he moved across the street. But I don't know if it was Hasanabi who said that. It was someone else that said, or I think it was him actually, that said, my parents moved across the street when we were younger from a sex offender. It was good real estate. Anyway, all right. So we got the Blinken report, the Blicky, Mr. Blicked up Blicky Blinken. We got the UNGA situation. We got CNN actually doing a fucking solid bout of reporting for once. But let's talk about the United Nations, which also is known as United Nations for Hamas. What are the nations united for? Hamas terror. Okay? So as you guys know, the United Nations, which is headquartered as a Hamas military facility. So shouts out to Gilad Erdan for going there bravely and you know, slapping on a yellow star of David on his chest to be like, if I can't do a genocide on the Palestinians, this is literally my own personal Holocaust, which, you know, something he has done for months and months because he's a fucking, what's a good word for this? I'm going to use the word rapacious, a rapacious scumbag. Okay. It's a pretty good word for it. Anyway, so let's move on. What the fuck are these guys doing? What is the UN doing nowadays? Well, if you recall, there was a Palestinian statehood conversation that was had at the Security Council, which the United States of America immediately said, no, Jack, we want a two-state solution, but not like that. Do we actually want a two-state solution, Jack? Probably not. But the UN said, all right, well, fuck you then. We'll get the General Assembly together and we'll show you, bitch.
A vote reflecting growing international solidarity with the Palestinians. Today, the UN General Assembly voted overwhelmingly in favor of a Palestinian bid to become a full member. It has recommended this now to be considered by the UN Security Council. 143 nations supported the motion, which grants the Palestinians significantly more rights to participate in General Assembly sessions. It does not, however, grant the Palestinians regular voting rights. The U.S. vetoed a Security Council resolution last month that would have paved the way for that. Ahead of today's vote, Israel's ambassador to the UN,
Gilad Erdan, my God. Of course, dude. Of course he went on Amazon and purchased one of these like little baby paper shredders so we could go on fucking stage and shred. Oh my God.
Shredded the United Nations Charter, saying that was what countries who support Palestine's bid to join the UN were doing.
So, for the record, he kind of cooked. If you guys remember yesterday, I told you what his speech was going to look like, and I didn't think he would hit the dramatics to this degree. Okay? I didn't think that he would do that. See? So, he kind of outplayed me. I said personally, he's going to say UN is Hamas and they have shown it. They are giving everything to Hamas and showing the rest of the world that Jew hatred will always be celebrated by the UN. and you're giving them a gift. All this shit. Turns out I'm wrong. He actually took it one step further. He had a problem with them. Respect.
Yes, that's what you're...
All right, I'm going to cross over now to our correspondent, Benjamin Alvarez.
Okay, let's watch that video, actually. As a matter of fact, let's fucking watch that shit, because it's really stupid.
Shredding. This is... You are shredding the UN Charter with your own hands. Yes, that's what you're doing. Shredding the UN Charter. Shame on you. This is...
Shame on you.
You are shredding the UN Charter with your own hands. Yes, that's what you're doing. Shredding the UN Charter.
Israel's really coming off like a toddler throwing a tantrum. Bro, that's Gilad Erdogan's literal work. That is like all he does. His whole job is to basically, oh, dude, I didn't realize he fucking was shredding the Hassan Stinks thing. I take it back. His whole job is basically to go there and be like, I am in the den of lions. You are doing terror to Israel. I am surrounded by anti-Semites. Like, his whole job is to go there and fucking yell at these like ambassadors about how much they hate Jews. Okay, that's literally what he does for a living. Honestly, it's kind of a cool job. Like, I would like to do that. Like, his major role that he's played since October 7 is literally wear a Star of David to and claim that if Israel is not allowed to fucking ethnically cleanse Palestinians, that's his own personal Holocaust. Think about how fucking insane that is as a statement. Think about how disrespectful that is. Ironically, he told people that they're shredding the UN Charter as he's literally shredding it, and his nation is metaphorically shredding it. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. It's a great analogy for Israel to be shredding the UN Charter right in front of everyone while screaming, "You are shredding the UN Charter, how dare you?" Exactly. Exactly. Israel has done this for 75 fucking years, okay? Literally violating every aspect of international humanitarian law while being like, you are violating my sovereignty because I must violate humanitarian law against the terror children. It's crazy. Like, it's a funny meme when you think about it. Obviously, like I have Jewish friends that'll make inferences and references to the Holocaust in areas, in private moments, in areas where obviously it's like kind of fucked up to reference in a humorous way, you know? Like, oh, I stubbed my toe. This is just like the Holocaust, you know, that sort of shit. But for him to do it in this way in the public stage is wild, you know? It's insane. It's an insane thing to do. What is the purpose of the childish behavior? Like, this is Gaddafi shit? Yeah, well, but when Gaddafi did it, it was cool and based. What is this? There is no reform in the relations between the United Nations and Israel, and they eat all the summer. There will be a reason to consider withdrawing from the United Nations. Wait, what? Yeah. When Gilad Erdogan went to the UN, he knew that this was a challenge for every Israeli representative, but the last 6 months surpassed everything he had imagined. Dude, that's sick. That's sick. That's crazy. These guys are out of control, man. When what is this? Double down to the video from a Holocaust survivor discussing the Star of David being born. Yeah, Israel. Our war is not with Palestinians. Our war is with Hamas. Palestine recognized by the UN. Israel. What the fuck? Not like that. It's the same attitude that America has represented on the UN Security Council too, where it's just like, yeah, we love Palestinians. Come on. We're not trying to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians. And that would be really bad if Israel was doing that, which it's not. But also, Palestinian statehood? No, thank you. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? Okay, what the fuck's going on then? What are we doing? Oh my God, what did he say? What did this fucking freak say? I hate that I watched him one time and now the fucking faucet. Now Pandora's box is unleashed. Now you guys are going to send me son of Hamas every day. And I really don't want to see his ugly ass face, bro. I hate this motherfucker so much. I hate the way that he talks. I hate the way that he dresses. I hate the way that he carries himself. I hate the shit that he says. I hate him. I hate his voice. Fucking psychopath.
Choose between 1.6 billion Muslims and a cow. I will choose the cow. If I have to choose
yeah, he means he wants to fuck the cow. That's why he's like, I will fuck the cow. That is how much I like fucking cows. I am son of Hamas. Listen, bitch. What did you call him? Uncle what? I said Uncle Ahmed, but, or no, I said Uncle Mahmoud, but I think Uncle Ahmed's better. Certified Zionist, certified cow fucker. Okay. He did it wrong too, bro. He's supposed to say bear. Biggest racist on Twitch proved to be Hasanabi, biggest hater and biggest racist. Yes, bro. Proven. It is known. Dude, if you go on Reddit, they literally think that at a time frame when like Hitler was alive, they say that I would be more racist than him because I'm racist against white people. And being racist against white people is like the most racist thing you can be. Go on Pierce and debate him? Fuck no. Dude, you guys are crazy. You guys want me to die, I think. You want me to perish. You want me to literally have, you want me to have a fucking seizure on television. Like, there are people out there that just like make me want to get physical with them. Okay. I don't want to be in that situation at all. Like, that's crazy. Like, there is no point in fucking debating a dipshit like that who is just like literally, he is Clandis Owens, but Arab. Was told by a friend yesterday that Reddit is filled with lefties. Oh yeah, it's fucking so lefty. All bark, no bite, do it. No, dude, that's the whole problem. That's what fucking sucks. I just, like, that would not be a productive conversation at all. Do you understand? That would not be a remotely productive conversation. It would just be me like fucking screaming at him and probably saying some unhinged shit that's gonna get me canceled actually. All right, let's do it. UN votes in favor of Palestinian membership. What does this signify?
As Gruber in Washington, he's been following events for us. Benjamin, what does this vote by the UN General Assembly, what does it really mean?
It's important to clarify that this vote does not give the Palestinians full UN membership, but recognizes them as qualified to join. As you said, 143 members voted in favor, 9 against it, including Israel and the United States, and 25 countries abstained. And this Palestinian membership bid will now be forwarded to the UN.
This stuff honestly is great because it kind of shows how little support the American government has on the global stage, for the record. Like, obviously we are, like, as the United States of America, we are the hegemonic superpower in the world. But when it comes to like international diplomacy and soft power, these are the moments where you genuinely do see like the disdain, the distaste, the overarching hatred that people feel towards like America and its allies and their gross, inhumane behavior.
Security Council asking it to reconsider the matter. And the result of this vote does not come as a surprise, that it was widely believed that the resolution would easily achieve the necessary 2/3 majority in the General Assembly, also because there is no veto right in the 193-member body. The US has been opposing this, and also in April vetoed a proposal recommending the admission of the State of Palestine to full membership in the United Nations.
In this resolution, it would grant
the United States be like, Micronesia's on our side, ladies and gentlemen. Javier Malay's on our side. Czechia's on our side. Micronesia's on our side. We got this in the bag, boys. We got this in the bag. Let's go. America, baby. It's on top. We got Viktor Orban on our side. The big players came out to play.
Rights and privileges, what exactly are they?
That's right. This past resolution gives the Palestinians the right to participate in the United Nations international conferences convened by the UN. That means that they have the right to make statements, submit proposals, amendments, also to co-sponsor proposals or raise procedural motions. But the State of Palestine does not have a right to vote. What is also interesting here is that diplomats told US media before this vote that the original draft of the Assembly resolution was changed significantly to address concerns concerns not only by the US, that in the end also voted against it along with 8 other countries, but also by Russia and China, because while both countries are strong supporters of Palestine's UN membership, they are concerned, according to these sources, that granting a certain type of rights and privileges could set a precedent for other would-be UN members, with Russia being concerned about Kosovo and China about Taiwan. So this past resolution, widely supported resolution, now moves on to the Security Council, where a bid for Palestinian membership failed less than a month ago after the US.
Okay, for everybody being like, I understand the symbolic importance, but when has a UN membership ever saved the nation from being brutalized by another? My friend, the only way to save Palestinians right now is by getting America and showing up, applying pressure in the Western world, and getting America to stop funding and facilitating Israel's genocide. That's it. So this is precisely the reason why I welcome any kind of vector of pressure that can be opened up. This, in and of itself, is absolutely another pressure point. That's it. The more the rest of the world says, like, no, this is fucking ridiculous, fuck you guys, the more people inside of these nations protest, the more awareness there is for the Palestinian struggle, for the Palestinian plight, the more Israel turns around and says, everyone is Hamas, the less legitimate the American cause is. Now, this doesn't stop America from behaving in America ways, but as I've repeatedly explained to you, there are 2 different camps in the U.S. State Department right now. Okay, since October 7th, there is the people that are like, we need to maintain our dominance in this region. We need, we need to maintain our relationship with Israel in this region, and we need to, like, obviously use Israel as a destabilizer, but like to a certain degree. And then there is the other side, the zealots, right? The fucking rabid ultra-Zionists, whether they are Christian ultra-Zionists or not many Jewish ultra-Zionists in that regard in the State Department, but like mostly predominantly Christian and Catholic ultra-Zionists that are like, we are so ride or die for Israel. They can do whatever the fuck they want. It's great. We're gearing for war with Iran anyway. We have to show the rest of the world that, like, no, they can wipe out these Muslim scumbags. The psychopathic war hawks have always existed in the American State Department. Some of them go above and beyond and go too far and get filtered out, like John Bolton, right? And ultimately, the other side in the State Department that's like more reasonable in this regard, even though they do not have a care for the safety and security of the Palestinians, but they do care about America's interests in the region, who have been demanding restraint from the White House, okay, since October 7, are able to get their message across to those who control the levers of power, because they can just point to the fucking pressure as well. They can point to the fact that we are losing our grip on any kind of soft power opportunities we have in both this region and globally. When our attack dog cannot be restrained and everybody else sees that we cannot restrain our attack dog, obviously that spells trouble for American dominance. Do you understand? If you want to maintain American empire, if you want to be able to maintain American empire, you have to manage conflict a little bit better than the way Israel has so far. So that's it. Obviously, the American State Department is never going to fucking make a decision specifically because they care about the humanity of those who are on the receiving end of American empire, those who actually receive the brutality, those who receive the cruelty. But like, America losing credibility on the global stage threatens American dominance. And if it threatens American dominance, then you can't really maintain this whole fucking song and dance for as long as you have.
Used its veto and vetoed the resolution.
Yeah, that's right. It looks like the U.S. is planning to do that yet again with this resolution. DW's Benjamin Alvarez-Gruber with the latest from Washington. Benjamin, thank you.
And Anyway, what is this? Ryan Grimm says, last week we reported that AIPAC was using a pro-science group as a pass-through to take out Pramila Jayapal's sister in a Portland, Oregon congressional race. There was a serious pushback to that article, but now we have a follow-up reporting that's even more damning. First, I asked the staffers at 314 Action, the science pack, to reach out. Several did. The Operation AIPAC and 314 are running is bigger than Jayapal and will soon expand to target Cori Bush, though under the name of a new shell pack. One staffer said 314 has turned its back on science in order to be used as a weapon against progressives by Zionists. Second, Maxine Dexter was required to post a disclosure about a May 7 fundraiser. Thanks to help from the people here, including David Dayan, we can report that nearly 90% of those donors also gave to AIPAC. I got one of the max out donors on the phone, and she said directly, I give all of my contributions through AIPAC. Whenever I'm asked to give to their endorsed candidates, I give. I wasn't there, and I did not give money to her, the Dexter donor said. I told her it was in the FEC records, and she said if AIPAC asked her to give to a candidate, she does. I give all my contributions through AIPAC. Whenever I'm asked to give to their endorsed candidates, I give. Dexter and AIPAC waiting until the last 6 weeks of the race to flood the district with money, hoping it wouldn't be disclosed in time for voters to know it was them. Chances are good that it will work, but voters now know if this reporting can get to them. AIPAC is using shell packs because a lot of people, due to, unfortunately, TikTok, okay, a lot of people are like aware of AIPAC's prominence, aware of AIPAC's influence. So now they're trying to use a fucking subsidiary or pre-existing groups that have nothing to do with AIPAC that they can infiltrate and send funds through and reroute their super PAC donations through other funds, through other PACs in general. What a wonderful modus operandi for dark money in this country. It's great. Love the way that we have designed the system so that it makes it virtually untraceable. Very difficult to trace. So, yeah. They're doing too much at this point. At this point, AIPAC's been doing this for fucking years. The Israeli lobby, like lobbying for a foreign nation, even though you are not declared a foreign lobbying organization, is the bread and butter of AIPAC. Okay? You have to understand. They have Democratic Majority for Israel, which is supposed to be a progressive group, even though they only go after Democratic Party's progressive wing candidates and pump a shitload of funds into the races where they might be unseated. Okay? If you guys remember, many years ago, Ilhan Omar said it's all about the Benjamins and that AIPAC has an outsized influence on Congress. And everybody fucking yelled at her and said she was anti-Semitic. I, of course, defended her, as I had done in the past, because it was not anti-Semitic to claim, to make the assertion, to make the statement that is obviously true, that yes, AIPAC does have the capacity to influence both elections and also write legislation at the behest of a foreign nation while still not being considered a foreign lobbying organization. Ilhan Omar disappointed all of us, to be honest. Man, shut the fuck up. What do you mean Ilhan Omar disappointed all of us? She did not. She didn't disappoint me at all. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. How would it be foreign? Israel is a U.S. state. Yeah, we might as well just call it what it is. It is a U.S. state. It operates as a U.S. state. American senators are literally... She's on the blacklist on TikTok. Wait, what? I saw people on Twitter calling her a Zionist. Like, what? Wait, what? Bro, this dude, every single time I get really excited about how progressive the youth is, it literally turns into a fucking cultural revolution moment. Okay? That is so insane. God damn, dude. Dial it back, everybody. Holy fuck. Holy moly. They are way over focusing on celebrities. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. It's so funny. Here's a 2020 Here is a 2020 tweet. I'm old enough to remember when Ilhan Omar was called anti-Semitic by the media for a week straight for pointing this out. AIPAC must stop Bernie Sanders at all costs. Noah's on the hunt. Ilhan was called an anti-Semite for accusing Jews of dual loyalty, saying that Jews use Benjamins to influence the U.S., saying Israel hypnotized the world, supporting boycotting Jews in Israel. You guys lie all the time, says Elder of Zion. The zealotry of the newly converted, as you've put many times. Yeah. I think when he says you guys, I don't know if he means like socialists or Muslims. I don't know. To which I say both. Yes, we lie all the time. I love lying. That's my favorite thing to lie about. Yeah, now Zionists are calling people anti-Semitic for not saying Jews have dual loyalty to Israel, which is a very funny moment. But they were already saying that back then too. To understand Erdogan, you need to know that in 2013, he tried to challenge Netanyahu internally, but got owned and fell in line very quickly. Since he's been moved around from ministry to ministry and somehow managed to have the stupidest scandal in all of them. In his corruption suit, it was revealed that Bibi's nickname for him behind his back was the child. He's failed upwards his entire life. Now he finally gets to have some drama. He is a child. Where is he getting the hypnotized part from? Oh, come on. You know where he's getting the hypnotized part from.
Israel has hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States.
That was like a paraphrasing of Ilhan Omar's incredible fucking clippable moment. It doesn't have the Dune music in this one. That's why this is an older clip. Holy crap, I might vote for Trump now. That's not. Guys, they had at that rally where Trump is saying that, they literally had Ilhan Omar's face plastered on the fucking jumbotrons with everyone calling to assassinate her. Okay? Like, it's not like he was saying that because, he was saying, Ilhan Omar is based and very anti-genocide pilled, believe me. Like, so it's pretty funny that people say, like, she's a Zionist. Anyway. Canada votes with 142 other countries in support of the UN General Assembly resolution for the admission of the state of Palestine to the UN. This endorsement is consistent with our historical vote on the matter. Oh my God. Sorry, don't want to derail, but just saw this. Today's going to be another one of them days we will never forget. Stay ready, King Kendrick. Creative director and our producer. I mean, I don't know if this is like, I guess. If Kendrick drops tonight, it's, oh, God. There was speculation on Al Jazeera that Israel might divide Rafah into sections like how they invade Gaza in order to invade, but still not be considered a mass invasion as they hit each section. What do you think? I believe it. That seems like Israel behavior, Israel type shit. So it's unsurprising. Anyway, so all right, I guess we'll briefly talk about Eurovision. FYI, you were mentioned on C-SPAN this morning. What the fuck is this tiny URL link that you sent me? Which one of y'all did this? Hasanabi mention? What?
Independent. Good morning.
Hey, I just wanted to comment on things that I feel like public policy could help with. I'm just, for one, I'm glad that people are starting to realize how there's certain actions that the government in Israel is doing are atrocities, like when the government tells people to evacuate.
People see yarmulkes and Jewish Star now, use that as a reason to harass, thinking those things mean they're supporting Israeli war crimes. It is a reality and very sad. Yes, I'm going to cover this aspect in one moment. You are absolutely correct. This is why everyone knows, every Jewish person, Zionist, anti-Zionist, doesn't matter, knows that in times of Israel really increasing the fucking pressure and doing a whole litany of like unimaginable violence, anti-Semitism, real anti-Semitism, not the fucking like, not like, oh, someone said free Palestine, like real actual anti-Semitism increases. And it is actually increasing right now, made worse by the fact that the ADL instead of just covering real anti-Semitism, has broadened the definition of anti-Semitism by claiming that people saying from the river to the sea at a fucking college campus protest are actually doing anti-Semitism. Okay? It is such a gross, unmanageable, horrifying situation, which Hollaback Boy sent me a video about as well. When I'll cover that in a little bit. It's awful. Regarding Rafah, Israeli media finally reporting what the Israeli people have been saying for months. In Israel, they confirm a large part of the Hamas terrorists have already left Rafah. Netanyahu is talking about 4 battalions, but Israeli officials who comment on these details make it clear that the main force is only 2 battalions to the west of the city. Sinwar's bet is simple, and a senior security official explains. The residents of Gaza detest Hamas, but preferred to chaos. The full column this morning in Yediot Ahronot and Ynet. What? He wasn't even in the LFV chat? Just a wild Hasanabi head? What is... Yeah. Yeah, it's... The very hour the suspensions for Harvard students are released, ADL President Jonathan Greenblatt, fucking demon, walks out of a meeting in Harvard, Massachusetts, saw the location of the interim president Garber's office. Oh, nice, dude. That's great. Anyway, let's get back to this. Let's get back to the Eurovision shit.
2 parallel universes inside the Eurovision arena. Israel makes it through to tomorrow's grand final, a seemingly politics-free zone.
A seemingly politics-free zone? Fuck you mean, dude? Redditors who were present at the Eurovision confirmed TV editors added fake cheering and reduced the sound of the booing. It's a politics-free zone, except for when we decided that Russia was politics. But I guess, of course, politics is, just like with Gamergate, and just like with gamers, politics is what is outside of the boundaries of what the most right-wing Americans feel is actually political. Just like the same attitude, there's only 2 genders, okay? Man and political. It's only political if gamers decide that, it's too rich for their blood. That they saw a black woman and then like, oh, that's political. Call of Duty, not political, right? Same with Eurovision. Barring Russia from participating in Eurovision, not political. Why? Because the entire world agrees that like that's a valid thing to do. Okay? Barring Israel, however, from that, while they're doing an ethnic cleansing campaign, well, then it's political. It's like, whoa. I don't really know. I don't know. This is a big deal. I don't know if I want to make a statement on this kind of thing. I just don't know. I don't know.
Meanwhile, outside, politically charged scenes in Malmö, Sweden, as thousands protest at the decision to allow Israel to perform while the war in Gaza continues.
In Palestinian is horrible. What's happening just now in Gaza, children, women, and everyone are dying.
We need to end this genocide, basically. So this is the only thing we can do.
Israel's entry, Eden Golan, has been booed by some during her performances this week. Despite facing death threats, the singer says she's determined to compete.
Representing us with pride and making it to the finals it's something crazy, and I'm so grateful for everyone who voted.
While Eurovision remained adamant that the contest is apolitical, that didn't stop Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sending this message saying the singer was competing with an ugly wave of anti-Semitism.
Booing the Israeli participant is also anti-Semitism. Come on, bro. What? Bro really is doing the I stubbed my toe this morning, which was a gross act of anti-Semitic hate crimes that happened to me and my toe specifically. It's just like the people booing are Hamas. They are doing anti-Semitism. If Israel does not win Eurovision, it's anti-Semitism and Hamas. It's like, come on, dude. Come on, brother. Jesus Christ. The Israeli participant even said she herself wanted to join the IDF someday. I mean, even if she fucking didn't say that, doesn't matter. She's a representative of the Israeli state. She's there to whitewash Israel's actions. It doesn't make it better. In the minds of many Israelis, Malmo was this supposed case study for look at how these Muslim immigrants are ruining cities. You'll remember it was a whole thing in the EU media, and in Israel it stuck. Yeah, it's unsurprising. Anyway, let's continue.
Across Europe, some have chosen to boycott this year's Eurovision. Among them, one of the stars of RuPaul's Drag Race, Crystal. The performer has cancelled an 800-person event here at London's Earth venue.
If you're involved in an invasion of another country, you shouldn't get to...
She lifted the Russian ban because she's an Israeli Russian. Oh, that's awesome. Juiced from Netherlands was banned from this round after questioning Israel. Wait, what? The Dutch contestant is possibly blocked? Why is Israel in Eurovision anyway? They're not in Europe. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be in Europe to be in Eurovision. You literally, I think, it's about like TV rights or something, right?
To come to the party. I think that's a red line, and you know, we're seeing so many civilians killed right now. It's really impossible to watch. I refuse to let my cultural institutions be used.
This is what it sounds like inside the arena where they were editing out the booze. Israel Hayom revealed final text of Israel's entry to Eurovision Song Contest. Symphony playing with me, looking in my eyes and see people walk away but never say goodbye. Someone stole the moon tonight, took my light. Everything is black and white. Who's the fool who told you boys don't cry? Hours and hours and powers. Life is no game, but it happens. While the time goes by, every day I'm losing my mind, holding on to this mysterious ride. The UN Charter is actually Hamas and must be eviscerated. We will leave the UN if the UN General Assembly votes to give Palestine statehood. What? No, I'm just kidding. That's not what those lyrics are. Okay. Okay. Baby, promise me you'll hold me again. I'm still taken from this hurricane. At the top of the hour, it's kind of like a hurricane. Unless you're subscribed, in which case it's not a hurricane at all because you don't see the 3-minute ad break. That doesn't even rhyme. Why did she say that? Why did she say those words? What the fuck? Hurricane was October rain before they had to change it. Dude, that's insane. They did it. It's called a double debate. A double debate. Fuck, right on the dot too. What? Eden made this weird TikTok. So how do artists prepare for their performance? Rehearse the song, choose outfit, hair, and makeup, but Eden Golan, that was not enough. After she suffered harassment from the audience during the rehearsals, the Israeli team decided to prepare Eden in a very original way. Eden practiced singing while her team was screaming at her the same way and the people in the audience did. Wait, what? They repeated it again and again until Eden was able to concentrate on her singing to overcome the screams. And if you think the semifinals there were no screams and booings in the 20-year-old singer, it is because the production silenced the voice of the audience while Eden was singing. What is happening, dude? What the fuck? Ah! Dude, this is literally hogwatch. It's so funny because like Israel has perfected hog behavior, like reactionary politics, with liberal aesthetics for a very long time. So it is literally identical. Like this is straight up a page out of the conservative handbook. Okay. The perpetual victimhood seeking, like people are booing me and saying I'm dog shit because of like the values that I am representing and the violence that I'm representing and trying to whitewash here. But it's actually I am the real victim because people are saying, fuck me. And that's messed up. It is literally verbatim, 1-to-1, verbatim, the same exact shit. The same exact shit that you see from conservatives. It's hilarious. Somehow Eurovision results got leaked, which made Israel get more votes. Oh, Italian TV accidentally released the semifinal voting results, and Israel is apparently leading at 39%. This is the press conference that might have led to the Dutch entry ban.
State your name and your media house. Laura Chechnik, Yediot Achronot, and Ynet. And then congratulations, first of all. You made us very happy. How do you feel after reaching the final when the situation in Israel, you know how it is?
Well, I feel I'm so overwhelmed with emotions. It's truly such an honor to be here on stage.
A personal question. Have you ever
That's
thought
Greece?
by being here, you bring risk and danger for other participants and public?
How do you feel being in danger from other participants? Is that what and the public? Is that what he's saying? He's saying that she's in danger by the public and other participants? Is that the question? No, did I misunderstand that?
A personal
Here on stage.
A personal question. Have you ever thought that by being here, you bring risk and danger for
Oh, they're saying you're bringing risk and danger to the other participants.
other participants and public?
In what way? Officials said you do not need to answer that. And then the Dutch artist said, why not? The sponsor is an Israeli brand. I mean, that makes sense. Like, not one of my usual edits, but I had to make
By
one.
being here, you bring risk and danger for other participants and public.
You don't have to answer that question if you want.
It's Eurovision. It's like everybody's Macklemore, okay? The Dutch entry ban is because one of the Dutch performers punched someone in Israel's group who insulted his dead father. Why is there so much drama at fucking Eurovision? By the way, someone said Dutch Oliver Tree. Bro, that's just every Dutch person. Like, here in the United States of America, Oliver Tree is like a bit of a meme, right? But also simultaneously pretty talented, but like a meme nonetheless. When you go to Europe, that's the norm. They're like, oh my God, this is the greatest artist we've ever seen. Look at how funny his outfits are. This must be your greatest artist, Oliver Tree. Look at how funky his outfits are. Look at his hair. It's very classic, famous Hollywood culture. The Israeli media guy harassing
Mr. Klein, where were you?
An unusual incident in Eurovision from Con News. The representative of the Netherlands, who was placed between Aden Golan and the representative of Luxembourg, the Israeli Tali Gour-Largant, did not show up for the rehearsal. The European Broadcasting Union announced, we are investigating an incident in which he was involved. He will not be rehearsed until further notice. He tried to understand why he couldn't appear and was pushed away by his security guards.
We missed you on stage. Sorry, can you stop that? Can you stop that, please? Can you stop that, please? Can you stop that, please? Bro, why are you doing that? We just missed him on stage. Can you stop that, please? Please don't touch me. Yes. Please don't touch me.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I hate having to cover Eurovision. I just don't care at all. It's like not even to make fun of it. I've never cared and I never will. Juiced is friends with BB No Money. Oh, that's awesome.
Just cover for that.
Eurovision argue that this is an apolitical event. Are you not kind of creating further division in what is a very complex situation?
Well, I would just reject the idea that Eurovision is apolitical. I think politics are baked into the format. It's a voting competition between different countries in Europe. Ukraine has won multiple times with songs about Russia. Russia has been kicked out of the competition when they invaded Ukraine. So there have always been political choices.
While Ireland's entry Bambi Thug has called for an immediate ceasefire and was asked to remove the words Free Palestine from their outfit.
It was very important for me because I'm pro-justice and pro-peace.
Let's go.
Unfortunately, I had to change those messages today to Crown the Witch only.
Polarisation here could not be more stark, from the glitter inside the venue to outside, where aid for Gaza was seen leaving Malmö, Sweden. No amount of Europop can mask the masses outside. The sound of protest drowning out Eurovision officials who argue the contest isn't political. Thousands beg to differ.
We begin in Gaza, in the southern city of...
All right, we're going to get to like real news again, but here, this is the last part. Rumors are Jews refused to take pictures with the Israeli delegation, and that's why Israeli journalists bullied him, making remarks about his parents who died when he was young, then started to physically assault him. Before that, they tried to use Keria for their own promo. I happened to meet Israel's Eurovision representatives today, and a video was filmed of us. It was then posted on social media without my permission. Despite my request for its removal, it has not been taken down. I would like to clarify and emphasize that the video is not a political statement or any endorsement of any kind. Bro, what the fuck is this?
In this video,
bro? Drake, Kendrick, and Communism by Marxism Today. I am not going to be watching that. Keria represented Finland last year. Very nice. Okay. Watch it, you coward. No, I will not. Israeli War Cabinet has approved the expansion of the Rafah operation in Gaza, a special operation. We know how those go. We know how that works. You guys know how it works. Come on now. Just a special operation. Just a special operation. Okay, it's a little bit. It's a little bit of an extra. Okay, let's take a look.
Rafah, where around 110,000 Palestinians are reported to have fled since Monday, when they were warned to evacuate by the IDF military ahead of, quote, a direct targeted operation, the effects of which would lead to President Biden pausing a shipment of military aid to Israel and signals to the Israeli government, if it goes ahead with a major offensive, some weapons shipments will be stopped. On Benjamin Netanyahu's response, if we have to stand alone, we will stand alone. If we need to, we will fight.
No, you won't. Shut up, bitch. No, you won't. You've literally never stood alone. That's not a thing. That is probably one of the biggest myths. It's like saying, chocolate hummus is good or something. And also Sabra hummus is good, especially the chocolate Sabra hummus variant. And also Israeli and nobody else's. You're out of your fucking mind, okay? Not real. It isn't real. It is not real. The idea that like Israel will stand alone is bullshit. Israel never has and never will stand alone. It is good you're wrong. I will ban you. I will ban you for saying chocolate hummus is good. That is actually one of the worst things I've ever heard. Never will? Yes, Israel has never stood alone, and it never will, because guess what? If Israel was alone, then it would not be able to do Israel shit. Okay? Israel has only been able to operate in the violent ways that it has as a direct consequence of the permanent allegiance that it has crafted as a settler colonial occupation. First from the British, and then from America carrying the torch after World War II especially. Okay? It's ridiculous. There is no world in which Israel's like, oh yeah, we are small bean and we are defending ourselves and we're doing it on our own. If Joe Biden literally said the things that he said about Israel's special operation in the Rafah being a possible red line and how they're not going to send any more offensive ammunition to be used inside of Gaza, especially if Israel does invade Rafah, which it is currently, okay? If they did that on October 8th, Israel would not have killed 40,000 people, okay? 100%. Calls for restraint is one thing, but directly actually telling Israel, you can't do this because if you do this, we will fucking restrain you personally is an entirely different thing. That is why I've been yelling about Joe Brandon's involvement in this affair since day one, as many chirpers who are liberal defenders of Joe Biden have been like, he's just a small bean, just like Israel is a small bean. Israel's a foreign nation. Israel can do what it wants, and America can't restrain it. It's like, okay, then why the fuck are we giving it unlimited weapons since October 7, and of course far before October 7 as well? The idea that like he can only do so much is of course immediately destroyed by when he does actually do something and all the liberals celebrate it like, yeah, we did it. Look, Joe Biden is doing everything in his power. No, he's not. No, he's not. He is not doing everything in his power. Even now, he's not doing everything in his fucking power. Joe Biden himself has ended Israeli sieges with one fucking phone call as the president in this term of presidency. He did it in 2021. He said, cut it out. Boom, over. It took one fucking day for Israel to dial it back. One fucking phone call. What did he do after October 7? He flew to Israel. He gave a bear hug to Benjamin Netanyahu. South Korea is still waiting for a peace treaty. Another October 7 leaver, returner. Love you. Love you. Hopefully, chatter, you will be able to learn a thing or two today. Okay? October 7 leaver, returner. They're back amongst our midst. In our ranks. Huh. How come the surrounding Arab states don't support Israel? They do. They actually do support Israel. They actually do support Israel. Many of the Arab states surrounding Israel do support Israel. Okay? It's the population. I meant Palestine, Lamau. I'm dumb. Oh. Okay. Well, yeah, they do not support Palestine or Palestinians.
With our fingernails. Well, this afternoon, there are reports that Israel is planning an extended offensive in Rafah. Let's cross to Jerusalem. Let's bring in Iris Makler, our correspondent there. Iris, good to talk to you. Good to see you this evening. Tell us about the reports, this extended operation and what it could mean.
Extended operation, or, and I'm quoting, measured expansion. It's not exactly clear what it could mean because the warning from Washington was stark. And it came from high-level officials, and then it came from the president himself. So it is stark, and what I guess Israeli politicians are trying to do is to have some kind of expanded operation in Rafah without infringing on the red line that President Biden set, which was, he said, no major offensive in Rafah. He won't support that. He won't help that. So is this measured expansion going to cross that red line? It definitely risks it, doesn't it? Just by definition. So what we're hearing is Israel taking a risk, taking some action, and at the same time instructing that the negotiations for a ceasefire deal continue, even though some of the people, some of the parties have already left Cairo. So how exactly they're to continue, I'm not quite clear. But that the two things go hand in hand. An expanded operation in Israeli strategic terms, that is, and some kind of continuation of the negotiations for a hostage deal and a ceasefire.
To try to understand what's going on right now in Rafah, the humanitarian situation for civilians, in terms of the fighting operations being reported, what's your understanding of what's going on right now?
What we're hearing from sources inside the Gaza Strip is, first of all, that there is an expansion. Israeli tanks have moved further into the city on the eastern side. So they haven't gone way into the city. They're still surrounding the city from the south and the east, moving up around it to the northeast as well. And we have heard from Palestinian sources inside that there is constant gunfire and explosions, and that explains why there's something between 110,000 people who fled since Monday, or 150,000. 110,000 is the UNRWA assessment estimate. 150,000 is what the IDF says. But what UNRWA goes on to say is these people who have fled on Israeli instructions are going in looking for a safer place, but they stress there is nowhere that is really safe in Gaza. We have seen renewed fighting, by the way, Gavin, in the north as well, in an area the IDF had cleared, gone away from, and now returned to. And we saw four Israeli soldiers dying there in a fight with Hamas. And that fight, that was an IED, an unexploded, a roadside bomb that killed them. And we've seen rockets being fired as far as...
Yes, the IDF, not the IDF, sorry. Israel openly admits that there is no place that's actually safe. Safe zone is a declaration that has like legal safeguards. A safe zone implies that you have access to clean water, you have access to electricity, you have access to humanitarian aid, and you will be free of any kind of conflict. Like you won't get shot at, you won't get bombed. Israel has violated that time and time again. Okay, both on the safe routes that they've declared safe routes that they've blown up civilian cars on, as we've seen time and time again, but also beyond that, Israel is now taking away the safe zone status that never really was a full-blown safe zone in Rafah, as they tell the Palestinian civilians to move back 20 kilometers into Khan Yunis, which is not a safe zone, which has been reduced to rubble, and Israel doesn't even declare it a safe zone. Israel considers Khan Yunis to literally be a safer zone. That's what they say. I'm genuinely in awe how the media just stopped talking about what Israel's plan for Gaza is after Hamas destroyed no PA, no Arab states, and Biden said in October that another permanent occupation would be a big mistake. I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind. How can the media just ignore that Israel has no political vision for this war beyond genocide and mass destruction, which they don't acknowledge? Well, you answered the question on your own. Israel doesn't have to have a long-term plan for the Palestinians, because Israel is not operating on the Palestinians being human beings that will have to either be permanently annexed by Israel and permanently occupied by the Israeli state. They're just simply seeing that as an aberration. They're seeing the Palestinian as something less than human. And the fact that you're right, the Western media is not consistently demanding answers from Israeli officials anywhere they fucking go on what will Israel do once Hamas is quote unquote wiped out, is of course, in my opinion, going along with the Israeli ethnic cleansing campaign. It's simply just another way for the media to operate as genocide dares in this project. The project being the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians.
As Beersheba, a city in southern Israel, but one that is not within the usual range. So Hamas keeping its rocket fire, showing it's still in the game. And I think Hamas quite concerned about Rafah, actually.
What about the leader of Hamas, Iris, Yahya Sinwar? Is there a suggestion that he is somewhere still within a tunnel somewhere in Rafah?
That was the suggestion originally. There's no doubt Rafah is very important to Hamas because it contains the one border crossing to the outside world, and then underneath it, tunnels to the outside world. That's where most of the goods that built all these extensive network of tunnels, that's where they came in from. So I think that is important to Hamas. Is Yahya Sinwar...
Fun fact, they already, the Egyptian military had closed off those tunnels a couple of years ago, for the record. This is true. They used to literally have a direct line into Egypt. And that is how they used to bring in supplies. But as far as we understand, as far as if I recall correctly, they literally fucking shut those tunnels off on the Egyptian front and even flooded them, I think, a while ago. So this was, of course, way before. This was way before October 7th.
Are there? Is he on the move? You know, was he in Khan Yunis? Now he's moved to Rafah. Now he's moved back to Khan Yunis now that Israeli soldiers have retreated. You know, no one knows that network of tunnels better than those people who built it. There is a suggestion that he might have gone out, you know, into Egypt, into the tunnels underneath there. But the best information appears to be that he still is in the Gaza Strip. And interestingly, that's been confirmed by one of the hostages who was released early in the piece, very early in the piece, actually, after about 2 weeks. And she said she actually saw him. And he said to her, he came into the tunnel where they were being held. And he said to her, "Do you know who I am?" And she said, "Yes, you're Yahya Sinwar." And she began to berate him for the action of October the 7th. Very brave, because she said to him, "We are the peacemakers, we who live in the south of the country."
Yeah, this was the peacenik that they released, the 76-year-old grandma, who's pretty awesome. The Israeli grandma that also famously, she, of course, law definitely happened. No, I 100% believe that happened. You guys don't know anything. You guys don't know anything about like old Jewish grandmas if you think that she 100% did not fucking yell at that person, that berate that person. I absolutely believe it. You can cap me all you want. Bro, she absolutely did that. Bro, what are you talking about? She's the one who literally fucking defied the Israeli government. She's the one who straight up came out and was like, no, I want to actually talk to the media immediately. And then she did. And then they fired the fucking nurse. That the nurse went on permanent vacation because the Israeli government could not like imagine the PR blow that she delivered by being like, yeah, no, they were actually pretty awesome. They were super chill. Like, these guys aren't the animals that you say they are. They literally took great care of me. I did get hit by straws on the way over there on the motorcycle. And like, but beyond that, when I was under their watch as a hostage, they did everything they could in their power to take care of me. That's the one that also, that's the grandma. That was the first hostage that was released. That was the grandma that also shook the hands of the Al-Qassam guys. Yeah. She literally called the press. Lifshitz, I think, yes. If I recall correctly, they fired the PR person in the hospital. Yeah. Why are people saying it's not true? Because people's brains are fucking broken by the monolithic framework in which Israel and Israeli Jews are presented in mainstream media by Israel and Zionism in general, by Zionists in general. So that's the reason why they can't comprehend that, like, a grandma in one of these fucking kibbutz who has spent a long time transporting Palestinians from Gaza into Israel proper, into hospitals where they can get like actual cancer treatment and whatnot, might be especially a bit of a loudmouth, you know what I mean? And knowing full well what could have potentially happened to her, still openly said what her opinion was to Yahya Sinwar. I 100% believe it. She literally defied the Israeli government as well. So it's not like she gives a shit. She's old as hell, man. That's an old kibbutzim grandma. That's an old peacenik grandma. I 100% believe that she would say that to Yahya Sinwar, and 100% would say what she, as you guys know, specifically said to the Israeli media and to the global press, as a matter of fact. What is this? For those of you talking about Abby Martin's interview with him, it's great. I've been watching Abby Martin for years. You should go back and watch some of her clips on the Rogan podcast, especially when she goes to Palestine and interviews Israelis. Yeah, we have done all of that. Yeah, this is the woman.
My mom is talking about coming there. When they arrive into a large hall in which...
The Israeli government says she has Alzheimer's. That's crazy. I did not know that. They were in panic mode, as you can see by this guy feverishly calling someone in the background. I had never seen this angle before. You think that grandma gives a fuck, bro? Come on. She's 85 years old.
Gathered, and after 2 or 3 hours, those hostages, 5 of them, she among them, were taken into a separate room. My mom is saying that they were very friendly towards them. My mom is saying that they were very friendly towards them, and that they took care of them, that they were given their medicine.
This was a very important fucking hit to Israeli PR at the time, because like, this is like so close to October 7. It's the first one that was released on humanitarian grounds, like with unconditional release of a hostage on humanitarian grounds, because she's 85 fucking years old. Okay. Right in the heat of like Israel being like, they're all rapist barbarians. They stole our people to rape them and kill them because they're rapist, monstrous barbarians over and over again. They're baby beheaders and shit. Okay. So when she came out and was like, no, actually, the fuck are you talking about? They were actually very careful with us and try to do their very best to protect us. It went directly against the Israeli propaganda, which is precisely why many of you who weren't here, if you weren't here at the time on my coverage, probably didn't even hear about it.
They were given medicine.
Those who wanted to defend Israel at the time said, oh, it's Stockholm Syndrome, or said, oh, well, her husband is still in captivity, so she's lying to preserve, to make sure that her husband is not killed.
And they were
This also may have caused Israel to simultaneously work against the hostages even more than they originally were. If you recall, Benjamin Netanyahu refused to meet with the hostage families and even had a fucking mole inside of the hostage families that he met with that came up and was like some fucking rabid bibis psychopath who was like, Mr. Netanyahu, sir, you're doing everything in your power. You should kill all the Hamas. Don't worry about the hostages or some shit. Some really funny internal conflict was happening in Israel at the time, especially about like the media trying to do its very best. The Israeli media trying to do its very best to not really offer this kind of coverage and show this, and even show the demonstrations and the demands that that the hostage families were making. Anyway, let's continue. That was, of course, 7 months ago, 6 months ago.
We're the people who believe in a solution. We've always held our hands out to you, and this was no way to repay us. So a very brave woman, and we do know that that means that early on, Yahya Sinwar was still in the Gaza Strip. I'd say he probably still is. If he left, it would feel, I think, to the rest of the people who are fighting for him that he wasn't their leader anymore.
It's an incredible story. Iris, thank you. Our correspondent in Jerusalem.
The UN announced that as of this morning, more than 100,000 Palestinians have fled the city of Rafah in southern Gaza. Many civilians had originally been ordered by Israel to come here for their safety. Now they say they have nowhere to go. We are tired, says this man. Either they should kill us all at once and send us up to God, or they should stop the war. But Prime Minister Netanyahu is determined to press on with an offensive against Rafah, saying Israel is prepared to act alone and fight with only our fingernails if necessary, but adding, we have much more than our fingernails. Netanyahu also spoke in a lengthy and non-confrontational interview with talk show host Dr. Phil. He took aim at protests on college campuses in the U.S., where demonstrators continued to clash with police overnight.
You have a lot of ignorant people there whose sense of history at best goes back to breakfast, not even that.
Yeah, Dr. Phil. Remember when Dr. Phil was like, I am going into independent media because honestly, like, it's fucked up how, wait, hold on. I got to find this Tiltify campaign page real quick. God damn it. But yeah, Dr. Phil was like, I'm going into independent media when he went on the Joe Rogan Experience. He's like, I'm going into independent media because, like, I want to cover voices that are not heard. Well, Turns out, the voice that wasn't heard in mainstream media is motherfucking Benjamin Netanyahu. Thank God for Dr. Phil's brave coverage interviewing Benjamin motherfucking Netanyahu.
He addressed President Biden directly, saying he hoped he and the president could overcome their differences. But
we will do what we have to do to protect our country, and that means we will defeat Hamas, including in Rafah.
Israel says Hamas has 4 remaining battalions of fighters in Rafah, and that it must root them out to destroy the militant group responsible for the October 7th massacre and mass kidnapping. The White House already held up one shipment of 2,000-pound bombs, and President Biden said some arms shipments would stop if Israel attacks Rafah's main population centers. But our crew in Gaza is documenting how that is already happening. These children were in their homes in central Rafah when they were hit by Israeli shells. Doctors try to reassure a boy named Mohammed. He keeps saying he wants to go home. This is his neighborhood in central Rafah now, raising the question, is Israel already crossing President Biden's red line? The Rafah operation has also derailed hostage negotiations and talks to achieve a ceasefire, with one senior diplomat telling NBC News the talks have effectively collapsed. Savannah?
Richard Engel in Jerusalem. Thank you, Richard.
Hey, I'm not surprised Dr. Phil had this take. He's the one who taught my parents how to abuse me better after all. Yeah. Yeah, this fucking goon Dean Golan Cohen is literally Israeli occupied force, occupying force, and is documented starting fights on the very first day. This Dr. Phil special is literally Israeli occupied force propaganda.
You dare?
This kind of shit makes me so mad. This kind of shit makes me so fucking mad. It is so frustrating, so infuriating to see someone lie so relentlessly. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know how to, I don't know how to deal with it, really. Like, it's just, you do your best. You do your best every day. You put your best foot forward every day. You try your very best to ensure that you can push back against these lies. Do you think the media's jumping ship on Israeli propaganda is due to the student encampments? I think the media was looking for any fucking out because they criticized Israel maybe a little too much. And so the student protests were like a great way to recenter the conversation on like Americans and our feelings rather than Palestinians being fucking ruthlessly slaughtered by Israel. Does anyone else find it weird that very rarely there's video online Hamas fighters, like from either POV? Finding video of Hamas fighters is so rare. Huge contrast to the other war in Ukraine makes me question how many fighters actually exist. I mean, I just watched a fucking video while I was pissing of the Al-Qassam Brigade using a fucking bathtub Barrett 50 cal that they made, sniping an Israeli occupying force soldier and having him catch on fucking fire. So they definitely do post a lot of videos. You rarely ever see videos of Israeli occupying force soldiers like actually fucking fighting against like militants. But definitely, you do definitely see bathtub 50 cal is wild. That's literally what they do, bro. It's not even a fucking joke. What I never understand is how they get the fucking camera to line up with the crosshair, like, or line up with the optics of the sniper rifle. That's just pretty crazy. What is a bathtub 50 cal? I'm joking when I say bathtub. Obviously, they don't make it in a bathtub, but like it's an inference to bathtub meth. But basically, what they end up doing is like it's handmade and handcrafted inside the Gaza Strip. They have their own weapons that they craft. Literally DIY shit. Homemade, organic, fair trade, farm to table weapons. Yeah, they Hamas unlocked metallurgy. It's the Al Ghul sniper designed in Gaza, like the Yasin 105 RPG clone. Yeah. They have their own sniper rifle, the Al Ghul, and I think it's the Al Ghul. I don't know if it's actually called Al Ghul or if you guys are just like making jokes about Disco Elysium. But oh yeah, here, this is dude, they beefed up their craft points so goddamn hard. They literally they padded their fucking craft perks so goddamn hard. You had no idea that this was happening. The one thing I'll never understand is like, obviously Israel has like permanent 24/7 surveillance, right? On the strip. So what I'll never understand is like how they get to do these training stuff, like, and like what the Israeli occupying force guys on the surveillance side are thinking while this is happening. Like when they were doing the paratrooping activities, right? When they were like learning how to hang glide. What the fuck? What did the Israeli occupying force surveillance people think? Like, were they just like, it's fine? I suspect that they film a lot of this in like either Lebanon or directly in Iran because they do go to Iran and train there for sure. But even then, it's like, I don't know. They let them do it so they can have their war. No, this part is ridiculous. Okay. Like, I think it's probably more reasonable to assume that they just don't think that the Palestinians, they think that the Palestinians ain't shit. You know what I mean? So they think that it's just not, they just think that they're not capable of doing anything. It's just arrogance. It's hubris. It's a near century of dehumanization that they ended up believing as well. You can hear the drones. Before the war, drones came over in the mornings and evenings. I don't know if satellites would pick this up that fast. Gunsmithing perk unlocked. You're about to get clipped the fuck out right now because of this. I've watched this video before on stream. I don't really give a shit. Not gonna lie, from the outside, this would look horrible. Brother, I have said this over and over again, okay? The fact that these dudes who are like mostly fucking orphan teenagers are capable of bringing together any kind of fucking militant resistance against the Israeli occupying force, which is one of the most well-oiled, unlimited funding ass militaries out there, is yet another demonstration of Palestinian resilience across the board. Yeah, this video is basically a litmus test for how racist you are. If you look at this and think, scary terrorist, but then you look at the same video by IDF and say, let's go Israel, you're racist. Like, I'm sure in a normal fucking world, right? I'm sure in a normal world, like, yeah, if you're like 17, 18 years old, you probably don't want to be fucking in an underground bunker making fucking bullets. You know what I mean? What 18-year-old is doing that for fun? And before the Amerifats chime in and go, I would do this for fun, shut the fuck up. Okay? No. How about not glorifying weapons of death, though? Wait, what? Is this a warmongering stream? Yeah, it's only warmongering and glorifying weapons of death when it's fucking Palestinians that make the weapons of death. I know. First of all, I literally watch military propaganda for fun all the time, okay? Ironically enough, also weapons of war implies the existence of weapons of life and weapons of peace, which I think is pretty funny in general. But it's ridiculous. If the bill passed through the Senate about how criticizing Israel is considered anti-Semitic, will that mean you'll get banned from Twitch? I don't know, but I'm sure you and the boys in the Discord server will try to fucking do desperately exactly that. But I don't see myself changing course anytime soon on my coverage. We will continue killing your soldiers by our locally manufactured snipers. Bro, I'm telling you, they said farm to table. Motherfucker said farm to table, baby. Weapons expert breaks down this video. It's literally fake. They are literally allowed under international law to resist occupation using deadly force. If you watch Hunger Games and cheer to districts, you should at least be sympathetic to their cause. Yeah, that's the other part of this. Is that, like, what they are doing is both legally allowed and also, in my opinion, moral as well. This is entirely outside of the boundaries of October 7. Okay? Like, what the fuck do you mean? What are people supposed to do? Trust me, bitch, you would want someone fucking, You would want someone in their goddamn bathtub rocket launchers if an Israel-style situation was happening in your fucking neighborhood, okay? It's so funny because, like, what I just mentioned there comes across as, like, unimaginable to the average American who will shudder on having to consider that, like, yeah, people do probably want to survive and not die and will take up arms against, like, a violent, brutal occupation. Except Israeli officials recognize that reality as well, which is why so many of them, whether they're like former leaders of the Shin Bet or former prime ministers, former fucking IDF generals, have openly stated, yeah, if I was on the other side of that fucking boundary, dude, I would be Hamas. I'd be doing Hamas too. Like, motherfuckers are over here literally to the right of Ehud Barak on this issue. It's so weird. Like, they get it. They also, you know, operate on might is right politics. So they think, like, it's, you know, valid for us to do to us what we suspect they might do to, it's valid for us to do to them what we suspect they might want to do to us. Anyway. Yeah, the Hogs fantasize about what Hamas is doing all day, every day, fighting back against a fascist occupation is their greatest fantasy. Yeah, except they also think it's like, Hogs will literally talk about not being able to be, like, racist in public without scrutiny as the greatest crime that has been presented against them, while simultaneously cheering on the police brutalizing fucking, you know, they, them, non-binary English majors at some of our elite institutes of higher learning for the crime of saying Israel's doing a genocide and probably we shouldn't, you know, be involved in it. So it's just, you know, anything that I could even perceive as, like, hurting my fucking feelings is the greatest crime of all. That's real fascism. Except if it was real fascism, they would love that shit because they're fascists. Okay. Way too early with Jonathan Lemire.
Israeli officials have responded to President.
What a self-own in the form of the name of your program. Like, that's so funny. This guy's program is literally called Way Too Early. He's like, ain't nobody watching this shit, man. Ain't nobody fucking watching this shit. It's too early. They got me doing this time slot. I'm not even Morning Joe, you know?
Biden's warning against a full-scale invasion of Rafah, for which the U.S. says it will not provide weapons. Speaking to an Israeli news channel, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations deemed the decision frustrating and suggested that it was the result of domestic pressure. On social media, Israel's foreign minister vowed to continue fighting Hamas until it's destroyed, adding, "There is no more just war than this." However, certain members of Israel's government reacted with much harsher criticism. Israel's Minister of National Security posted this on social media, a tweet that reads, "Hamas heart Biden." His office did not immediately respond to a request for further comment from NBC News. In a thread also on X, Israel's finance minister suggested the president...
Just real fucking freaks, dude. The freaks are out. It's way too early for them freaks to be out, but they're out and about.
Has set in place an arms embargo while vowing to achieve complete victory despite President Biden's pushback. Speaking with Dr. Phil yesterday in Israel, Netanyahu had this to say about Biden's stance.
No, you won't. No, the fuck you won't. Israel has never stood alone and will never stand alone. It's fucking bullshit. Because Israel will never stand alone, because the moment that America actually says you're on your own, Israel will literally be like, okay, we're sorry. We did everything wrong. We'll fix it.
Secure our future.
Joining us now, Danny Danon. He is a member of Israel's parliament, the Knesset, and former Israeli ambassador to the United Nations. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for joining us this morning. President Biden this week stressed that the U.S. would continue to send defensive weapons to Israel to replenish the Iron Dome and the like, but he's drawing the line about giving weapons that would be used for a full-scale invasion of Rafah. Let's get your own reaction to that.
Jonathan, good morning. First of all, we are disappointed. We are in the middle of a tough war. We are being attacked by many fronts. From the north, Hezbollah, from the east, the proxies of Iran, and in the south, we're fighting Hamas terrorist organization. and we expect our allies to stand with us when we are in a war. So yes, we are disappointed. We still respect the president. We respect the friendship with the U.S. We will continue the dialogue with our colleagues in D.C. But at the same time, we have no other choice.
Should no longer be a country called Israel ever? Is that what you're saying? What? Would you rather the name Israel be changed to something else? Yes, it should be changed to the top of the hour ad break, which is what you're trying to bait me into reading. Okay? That's what I think. I think that the nation of Israel should have his name be changed to the top of the hour ad break, which is 3 minutes long. Okay? At the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute long ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. Yeah, motherfucker. At 154, really? You get parried on that shit. Him calling Hezbollah an invading force sounds like a clear indication that they're attacking Lebanon next. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, Hezbollah, the invading force of Hezbollah. Where are they invading? Southern Lebanon, which we want as Israeli territory. It's kind of fucked up. Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? I hate that. They should stop occupying Southern Lebanon and just give it to us. Okay? Anyway, here are the weapons that you can have to defend yourself against the top of the hour ad break. A $5 a month subscription. A free one in the form of a Twitch Prime. Or you can get gifted a sub if you're lucky. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. There has not been a good top of the hour debate in a while. It's because people are trying to bait me with some fucking bullshit. That's why.
We cannot allow ourselves to stop the war now. And we are a little bit confused also, because President Biden said many times that Israel should finish the job and eliminate Hamas. So how can we do that with our hands tied behind our back? We cannot win the war without going into Rafah, without facing the Hamas battalions who are still there. We have to do that. We have no other choice.
So the U.S. has said that they're concerned.
It's crazy because, like, in some ways they are, like, suicidal. Like, they have no care or consideration for the safety of Jews, the safety of Israelis. They have no care and consideration for the fucking safety of, like, all of those 19-year-old admirals who are just, like, marketing majors and have dreams of making the worst techno music you've ever heard. You know what I mean? Because when they send those guys into Rafah or any ground incursion, they're getting fucking slaughtered too. That's the other side of this equation. Because there's no like real on-the-ground offensive that Israel can conduct without withstanding great casualties. Okay? Is it not okay to be pro-Israel because I'm pro-Israel? Man, shut the fuck up, bitch. It's just like they don't give a shit at all. So under that assumption, wouldn't you say that even if the U.S. pulled out, these psychopaths wouldn't back it up? No, I don't. I think that the U.S. withdrawing support or greatly restraining support or greatly limiting support to Israel would cause the Israeli war cabinet the appropriate amount of external pressure to say, see, we're cooked. America doesn't want to help us anymore. It would give Benjamin Netanyahu more cause and more political leverage internally inside of the war cabinet to restrain itself. Yoav Gallant very famously in the middle of October, I think, or maybe November, told journalists in Israel, answered questions from journalists in Israel. The questions were, why are you giving our enemy food and aid? Okay. It was very limited at the time. It was like marginal, right? And he basically fucking said, what are we supposed to do? America asked us to. We can't say no to America. That's the attitude that has been in place since day one, which is why I'm so fucking angry at the American involvement so far, which is why I keep saying Genocide Joe. It's not just like a fun thing. It's not just like a fun chant. It's not because I'm like a secret Russian op that wants Trump to win or some shit. Okay? It's because America has the final say on this stuff. You are, but carry on. I like the idea that you're in here and watching since 2022 and you're like, I'm watching this Russian op who loves Donald Trump and wants him to win.
About the Rafah operation was that Israel, it has saying that Israel has not provided any sort of plan to provide safety for the civilians there. Is there such a plan? And what is it?
Absolutely, and that's a false assumption, because you look at the timeline. We have been in Gaza for 7 months. One of the reasons it's taking us so long, because we are very cautious, and before we operate, we allow the population to move to
August 12, 1982, Israel's bombing Beirut for 100 hours straight. Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin says, if Israel has to stand alone, we will stand alone, and we will be victorious. President Reagan calls Menachem Begin up and says, Menachem, this is a Holocaust. Stop it right now. Literally 20 minutes later, Begin says, we stopped this, sir. I'm sorry. Pretty much. And yes, he did use those terms. He said, what you're doing is the Holocaust. No fucking inferences to how anti-Semitic that sentiment is. No like pushback. Just straight up. All right, you say jump, we say how high. Now, obviously, the support for Israel since the 80s, or since 1948, has only gotten stronger and stronger, right? And it's become like an overwhelming bipartisan consensus amongst both of the parties. Israel can do no wrong. Steady supply of propaganda from the media that has basically also gotten major chunks of the older population to also ride with that agenda. However, having said all of that, this is Israel has basically greatly exhausted that kind nature and open hand that America has given to Israel.
A different direction. And we have showed to our colleagues in the US very specific plans to allow a population in Rafah to move to other areas that were prepared to accept them with the NGOs. And that's why we haven't started the attack there, because we will do that before we will attack Rafah. And what happened in the last few days, the US changed the tone. If you look back, President Biden himself said, we want to see what you are planning to do in Rafah. We are not against the operation in Rafah. And all of us.
Actually, Bain did push back saying, Mr. Reagan, I think I know what a Holocaust looks like, but Reagan didn't give a fuck. He just replied, end this now.
Sudden, I think because of maybe domestic issues, the language changed, and all of a sudden we hear, don't go into Rafah.
So on that note, lead national Security Communications Advisor John Kirby told reporters yesterday in a briefing that the administration believes that a major Rafah ground operation would actually strengthen Hamas's position at the negotiating table and not Israel's. What's your reaction to that?
I beg to differ about that. Look what we are facing now. We have more than 130 hostages. We don't know how many of them are alive, including 5 American that no one knows.
Yeah, why has the number of hostages, by your assessment, sir, dwindled? What has happened, do you think? What could have happened to said hostages that caused those numbers to go from 130 to like maybe 40? A mystery.
Knows what's happening to them as we speak. So we cannot just, wait idly by and expect Hamas to win.
Oh, bro, they're playing the Merkava fucking running over the I Heart Gaza footage next to this guy talking. Oh, shit. Let me tell you, it is way too early for that shit, okay? A picture speaks 1,000 words, okay?
Release them. We have no choice. We have to use military force in order to finish the war, in order to eradicate Hamas and release the hostages. The very fact that they are not willing to tell us who is alive and who is not. And when we are negotiating with them, they say we will release either hostages.
Get to the chopper.
Is alive or death. That's not acceptable. They don't have the decency of actually telling whom from the hostages is still alive.
Yeah, and Mr. Ambassador, that's what I wanted to ask next. Does the Israeli government have any sense as to how many hostages are still alive? And can you provide us an update on these ceasefire for hostage negotiations? Where do things stand?
Well, that's very tough. When we signed the first agreement with Hamas last year, they promised to allow the Red Cross visitation to the hostages. It never happened. And today they haven't sent any list about the hostages. So we don't know, but I'm very worried because what we have seen in the last few days, that they are saying that they are not capable of releasing 33 hostages alive. So I'm very troubled by that message coming from Hamas. So we don't have the exact number. That's why we have no other option. We are determined to go all the way to release those we can release and to eliminate this terrorist organization. It's a threat to Israel. It's a threat to the U.S. Look, the Iranians are doubling their shipments to the proxies, while the U.S. is stopping the shipment. So we know we are in the front line, and we are committed to win this war.
Well, we certainly share the hope that those hostages are freed soon and returned to their families. Member of the...
Yeah, we... Hopefully, maybe you guys will do something about that. Stop killing them. All right, here is Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. God, I fucking hate him. I hate both of them so much.
Our interview with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Oh my God. Bro. Yo. Jesus, Lord mercy, bro. That's it. He's the red heifer. That's the cow, bro. That's the cow that they're going to sacrifice. God damn. That boy is mooing. Holy shit. That's right. Many Hamas sympathizers are harboring these terrorists and therefore also deserve to be ethnically cleansed, which is cleansing. Don't you guys like a clean hand? That's what is basically happening. A clean Gaza Strip. Rid of the scourge of Hamas and its sympathizers in the form of babies. Babies that love Hamas. Babies that are armed with copies of Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf, My Struggle, in the American language. No, it's not, you don't understand. It's kind of advanced Hasbro, but many Zionists believe that Jerusalem only became holy in Islam in the early 20th century in response to the Zionists. Like they think it wasn't a big thing for Muslims until al-Husseini saw how dedicated the Jews were and made it important again. That's wild. Yeah. It's their anti-Semitism that decided that Jerusalem is important. We talk about other conflicts like the recent uncovering of bodies in Darfur, Sudan, and Myanmar. No, because I want to hide the truth from the world. And I only care about Israel doing a genocide because it's the Jewish state. And I'm anti-Semitic. I hope that clears up any confusion that you already didn't have and only ask that question specifically to because you have that opinion already. It's so funny. People literally, the only reason why you say that is because you're like, please stop talking about the ongoing genocide here. Okay, please. Please. I would wish you wouldn't talk about that, please. But this is like at least a more, it's a definitely more seemingly polite way of making this request. You know what I mean? Captain Saber, more like Captain Hasbro, 283. The IDF division doing the Hasbro specifically. Free Palestine. There are other genocides as well. Okay. Well, then you shouldn't be fucking upset about my coverage. Had your stream when the phone was down when I went to the gas station. Someone asked me, are you listening to Hasanabi? And I was skeptical, but I said yes. And dude said, hell yeah, dude, I love that guy. Didn't expect other Hasanabi fans in rural Georgia. They're all around.
Welcome to Israel.
I like that they've also realized that like everyone is calling what Israel's doing a genocide. So now they're saying like, no. You know who's actually doing a genocide? Hamas. Hamas is the genocidal enemy. Actually, really. I mean, it's not like Zionists haven't been saying that. They have been. But I have noticed that they've been saying it a lot more recently in a way to, I guess, dilute the conversation. What does that yellow ribbon mean? Oh, that's a really fun question and a very fun answer for it. So that yellow ribbon is for bring our hostages home, which is ironic because he is single-handedly more responsible than anyone else for killing a shit ton of those hostages. So really funny that he's wearing the yellow ribbon pin while having this conversation with Dr. Phil, while simultaneously single-handedly being responsible for killing all of the hostages at this point. And not only that, but also refusing to peek outside of his window, outside of his fucking mansion, to hear the tens of thousands of Israeli protesters that are screaming for him to do a fucking ceasefire so that they can bring the hostages home. So, you know, not to use the Zionist rhetoric against them, but Hamas is doing a pretty bad fucking job then, huh? Yeah, dude, you don't understand. It's just like it would happen in a hypothetical future if we allowed it to happen, you know? State Department report finds new ways to say Israel violated international law. Yeah. The Biden administration says it's reasonable to assess Israel used U.S. weapons in ways inconsistent with international law. Okay. Hold on. Let's get to. I got to pee real quick as well.
It's not only.
I don't think I can watch this. I don't think I can stomach this. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like if any of this was true, he wouldn't be talking about it so gleefully. Yeah, no. I mean, this is like active genocide denial, propagandizing what Israel's ethnic cleansing campaign is to an audience of fucking middle-aged wine moms that are still holding on to the glory days of Dr. Phil. I would rather move on to the Israeli whistleblowers that have detailed the abuse of Palestinians in shadowy detention center.
It's a place the Israeli military doesn't want us to see.
How many Palestinians are in there right now? Who are you? Give me please now. Hang on, what is it that you want? Hang on my card.
But CNN has gained exclusive evidence of Palestinian prisoner abuse from multiple Israeli whistleblowers.
Everything Bibi said is true, though. Yeah. If it helps you poop your pants more, thinking about it, if it helps you sleep at night, that, you know, you want to defend a genocide while also having a moral conscience in your mind, then go ahead. Go ahead. Thoughts on supporting a terrorist organization that uses its fund to build terror tunnels? My thoughts on building my support of a terrorist organization that uses its funds to build terror tunnels. Hamas and every member of the Palestinian resistance legally has a right to defend the occupied territories that Israel is currently bombing. Sucks to suck. Okay? Sucks to suck. They might not be the best guys when it comes to civil governance. Okay? But ultimately, that's the international law. And that's wait, thoughts on running the top of the hour ad break? The fuck? Bro. Anyway, let's continue with this. It's like, bro, it's not, we are so far removed from the top of the hour. What the fuck are you talking about?
We joined human rights activists amid growing public concern for the detainees being held inside.
This is a protest by Israeli citizens outside a detention center close to Gaza, where we know hundreds of Palestinians have been held.
I gave them a day off.
Closed military facility. It's behind a barbed wire fence. We're not permitted access.
And there's hostility from passers-by.
We just had somebody drive past in a car and they shouted out to us in Hebrew, "You're defending murderers."
No.
You're defending, what do you,
No, we're defending basic human rights.
And eyewitnesses are now speaking out. Away from the military facility, near the beaches of Tel Aviv, one young Israeli army reservist agreed to speak about scores of detainees at Sedi Taman. He says are kept in cages or pens, constantly shackled and blindfolded, many for weeks on end. We've hidden his identity and voice to shield him from prosecution.
We were told they are not allowed to move and must sit upright. They're not allowed to talk or peek under their blindfolds.
And what happened if they did do that? What kind of punishments were meted out?
We were allowed to pick out problematic people and punish them, having them stand with their hands above their heads for an unlimited time. If they didn't keep their hands up, we could zip tie them to the fence.
The Israeli military says detainees are handcuffed based on their risk level and health status. But the account tallies with photographic evidence obtained by CNN of Palestinian detainees inside Sedi Taman. and with hand and wrist injuries shown to CNN by dozens of Palestinians released back into Gaza. I was zip-tied and blindfolded, says this former detainee, and tortured in a way I never imagined. One source telling us the restraints were so tight they had to amputate a man's hand.
The view that I've heard expressed is that, how do you think Israeli hostages are treated by Hamas?
This sentiment was voiced in the facility, but I think that if Hamas is so abominable, which I agree with, then why use Hamas as a bar? It's a descent into dehumanization.
A descent that's accelerated since the rampage by Hamas on October the...
Understand something. These guys were released. Okay? As in, released, as in like, they did not even have enough evidence by Israeli standards to keep them. And they were still ruthlessly fucking tortured. And it does not take much for Israel to keep someone under permanent detention.
7th last year, the killing and abduction to Gaza of hundreds of Israelis provoked outrage and a brutal response. Amid Israel's wrath, tens of thousands of Palestinians have been killed and thousands detained for interrogation, transported to facilities like Detention, where one Israeli guard now tells CNN prisoners are routinely beaten.
Dude, do you think that I don't know that putting a donation tracker on the screen as someone who has fundraised millions of dollars, do you think I don't know that? Do you think I'm not trying to get the donation tracker on the screen? Do you think I don't know that? Perhaps there is a reason why it's not on the screen yet, because I haven't been able to get access to the Tiltify campaign so that I can actually put the OBS link on the screen. Just think. Think. No, don't say I don't. Think, okay? Do. Think. Fuck, man.
We've hidden his identity and voice too.
You can take them out and hit them maybe 4 or 5 times with a club. It's not done in the face, so you don't see blood. The detainees lie belly down, being hit and kicked, people screaming and dogs barking at them. It's terrifying. Some detainees are taken away and beaten really hard, so bones and teeth are broken.
So you saw people who were subject to these beatings, who had their bones broken and who had their teeth broken.
Yes, it's a practice which commanders know about. They want intelligence, but they also want revenge and punishment for what happened on October 7th.
The Israeli military hasn't approved CNN's requests for access to Detention. But at the gates of the facility, we challenged the Israeli guards.
How many Palestinians are in there right now? We don't know. Do you know if they're being handcuffed? Are they being blindfolded? No.
This is a facility.
As we leave, masked soldiers approach.
Hello. I'm sorry. It's just he kept spamming over and over again, being like, "Bro, I swear, if you put the donation thing on screen, it'll draw more donations." Like, I know that already, man. Come on.
How are you?
Kept spamming it over and over again.
Coming this way? It's anything of the army. Oh. So
Who are you, Junction? From CNN.
Give me please.
They tried to take our cameras.
Give me please now. Give me please now. Hang on, what is it that you want? My camera or my card?
Then order us to leave. Well, we're driving now to meet one Israeli with personal experience of the Detention facility. It's experience that he says has left him shocked at the condition and the medical treatment of Palestinian detainees there. Hello. He told us he treated Palestinian detainees.
As happy as I am to see CNN is finally getting around to covering this, time without an OEO's right. We've known about Detention for a long time now, but it got absolutely zero international media attention. In January, Hagar Shazaf and Yuval Abraham both independently reported on the conditions there for Haaretz and local call I covered this facility already on stream. That was literally months ago. I'm glad that they're like showing it as breaking news, right? Or like, you know, explosive journalism. And in some respects it is, and it's valid, and it's incredibly valuable that CNN is finally covering it. But just understand that like those Israeli Jewish protesters didn't fucking go there because they had a hunch. They went there because Israeli sources, Israeli outlets have already been covering it. That's the crazy part about it. That's why I always fucking say that, like, if you want to understand, if you want to get a better understanding of what the fuck's going on in Israel, Israeli sources oftentimes and Israeli reporters oftentimes do an infinitely better job than the Western media. Even on outlets that I would say range from like anti-Zionist all the way to Zionist outlets. Just like with the Zaka organization investigation that was concluded, that also got very little coverage in the Western media about the improper handlings of Zaka on October 7 victims, and what a major role that played in fucking up any kind of forensics investigation that could have been conducted.
With gunshot wounds fresh from the war zone in Gaza, but was appalled at the lack of equipment and expertise.
The problem is, Gazans who are brought in are labeled as terrorists, and it is very popular opinion over here that terrorists deserve to die, so they do not deserve the same medical care as everyone else.
Satellite imagery obtained by CNN shows how the Sedi Taman facility was expanded after the October 7th attacks, with detention facilities and makeshift medical bays being added after public hospitals in Israel refused to treat injured Gazan suspects. Eyewitness accounts describe a field hospital with 15 to 20 patients, virtually naked and blindfolded, with hands and feet shackled to their beds and wearing diapers. One eyewitness told CNN painful procedures were carried out by underqualified medics. Treatment, the medical worker told us, amounts to punishment.
In my view, it's the idea of total vulnerability. If you imagine being unable to move, being unable to see what's going on, that's something that borders, if not crosses, into psychological torture.
The Israeli military says prisoners are stripped for security checks and that investigations are opened when there's suspicion of misconduct. Still, accounts from Israelis and Palestinians inside and the shocking images paint a disturbing picture. Matthew Chance, CNN, at Sedi Taman in southern.
Direct analog for Nazi Germany and its concentration camps. A great shame. Unimaginable cruelty being directed. There's more clashes on
now
college
to the new
campuses.
clashes on college campuses across the country, including arrests just moments ago at the University of Pennsylvania. Victor Okendo is tracking the very latest.
These are the people that are protesting these horrifying images that you've seen. And how are we here in the United States of America dealing with those who say this is unconscionable? We must do something. We must put an end to this. Well, you'll see how they're dealing with it.
For us. Good morning, Victor.
Good morning, Michael. Around the country this morning, tensions ratcheting up across college campuses. Let's start at the University of Arizona, where they're gearing up for their graduation ceremony later today. Law enforcement spraying what appears to be tear gas on roughly 100 protesters gathered by the university's main gate. This is the second time this month chemical irritants have been used to disperse protesters on campus. At George Washington University in D.C., hundreds of protesters gathering on a street that includes the home of the president of the university, shutting down traffic and setting up tents. This comes just one day after police cleared the encampment on campus. And here in Los Angeles at the University of Southern California, after canceling the university's official school-wide graduation, the university opting for what they called a celebration at the Memorial Coliseum. Students, instead of walking on stage and getting a diploma, they were treated to a drone and fireworks show. Whit?
All right, Victor Okendo for us. Thank you.
The third week of Donald Trump's criminal trial ending with a dramatic confrontation as his defense team wrapped up a
Great, man. Awesome. Just cool stuff. Oh, yeah. Broadcast of Eurovision Song Festival on Belgian TV starts like this. This is a workers' union action. We denounce the human rights violation by the state of Israel. Moreover, the state of Israel destroys press freedom. This is why we shortly interrupt this program. So shouts out to the Belgians. I have covered the Eurovision protests far more than I care to. I do want to cover the new report that just came out where Anthony Blinken and the State Department basically say Israel did definitely violate international humanitarian law and engage in war crimes, but they refuse to say it.
Now, we're just going to bring you some news that's been developing while we've been on air tonight. The US government has said that Israel may have used US-supplied weapons in breach of international humanitarian law in some instances during the war in Gaza. These findings are in a review ordered by the White House. Let's find out more from our correspondent Tom Bateman in Washington. What more do we know, Tom?
Jane, this has been a long-awaited report by the State Department here after, as you say, President Biden ordered a review of, in fact, 7 countries and the way in which they were using US-supplied weapons. Now, that had come, of course, under growing pressure on the president, particularly from human rights organizations and from parts of his Democratic base, to investigate and verify whether or not US weapons were being used in breach of international humanitarian law in Gaza. Now, such was the work that has gone into this. The State Department here missed its own deadline on this by 3 days, but we've had the report in the last 10 minutes. And the key line is this. It says it is reasonable to assess that weapons supplied by the United States have been used by Israeli security forces since October the 7th in instances inconsistent with international humanitarian law. Now, that is clearly a rebuke of Israel, but it stops short of saying that that should then lead to any further withholding.
So what is it then? Israel is allowed to do it then? Like, what are we doing here? Israel may have violated international human rights law. So I guess it's like, but they can do that? Like, what's the takeaway? They may have done so, and we may just continue to continue to give them the weapons to do so. Yeah, he loves young boys and also strong men, you know, because he loves them a little bit too. Women rank men by size. God damn. Like I said, I'm waiting for more coverage from maybe the likes of CNN when they're done covering the Boston Celtics or whatever, to see what they have to say about this new Blinken report and how they're covering it. But yeah, we talked about this briefly yesterday, but Israel, of course, raised an entire Bedouin village to expand a highway. The demolition of Wadi al-Khalil, an unrecognized village in the Negev, left over 300 citizens homeless despite their attempts to reach a compromise. Israel pulled yet another amazing right-wing move. You know how fucking right-wingers love talking about, like, what about our homeless veterans, while simultaneously demanding that they get fucking executed on the streets for being homeless? But they only talk about them when talking about immigrants. Oh, you want undocumented immigrants to come here? What about our homeless veterans on the streets? Israel did literally that about the Bedouins, the Palestinian citizens of Israel, as they always love talking about the Palestinian citizens of Israel as a mere talking point, despite the litany of civil liberties that they refuse to give those Palestinian citizens of Israel, like the Bedouins, which are almost always facing this exact kind of violence where they go in and they break their fucking villages down, they break their homes down, they demolish them, only to have them return again and rebuild again Fun fact, Israel, of course, owns 93% of all land in Israel. And you might think, well, that's sick. That's communism, right? Like communist land ownership. Isn't that great? Yeah, they only use that against the Palestinian citizens of Israel and are able to maintain control over where Palestinians get to live and where they don't get to live. Anyway, Israel did that bullshit when a Bedouin kid got hit with shrapnel, like when the Iranian missile strikes were happening. Remember when they paraded her? Well, they didn't really parade her. They just like kind of spoke over her. And then we very quickly found out, and I told you, like, the reason why she probably was hit with shrapnel is because, like, the interceptor coverage, unfortunately, oftentimes does not actually defend the Bedouin villages, places where a lot of, like, Palestinian citizens of Israel frequent. And everyone was like, how do you know that? You don't know that. Except then we found out that, like, that family was directly... that family that was being weaponized against the world to be like, look, Iran is killing shrapnel. Yes. Iran is killing, Palestinian citizens of Israel. Look at how fucking stupid they are. Turns out Israel itself had actually directly tried to evict this very same family time and time again. And yeah, by the way, here is Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is in charge of these demolitions. The demolition of dozens of illegal buildings in the Abu Essa cluster in the Negev this morning is an important step towards restoring governance. As I promised from first day in office, there's a considerable increase in the demolition of illegal houses in the Negev. I am proud to lead this policy. Special appreciation for the South District Police and Chief of Police Amir Cohen, who implement the policy and work to enforce the law with determination. Is CNN now covering the fucking story? No, they're covering solar sensation and the art of investing. Fuck CNN. Anyway, there is actually a really good TikTok that I saw that details some of the things that I've talked about quite a bit with respect to all of the awful double standards that Israel enforces upon the Palestinian citizens of Israel, that they use as simply a talking point and rarely ever as like real full-blown human beings that deserve dignity. Many such cases. Here it is. This is Farah Jad responding to the Lion of Israel, who said to her, Israeli Arabs have equal rights. Democrats wrote a letter to the ICC too. Wait, what? What? It is critical that you strongly oppose the ICC's efforts to target Israel. Anyway, I will not get to that right now because I don't want to fucking die of anger. I don't want to be the first case of a human being that literally just simply ceased to exist because of how fucking angry he is. Okay, let's talk about the arms report.
A definitive conclusion as to whether international humanitarian law has been violated or has not been. Saying that there are still ongoing investigations into this matter, into these specific incidents that raise serious alarm with regard to those strikes that have been carried out by Israel in Gaza since October 7th. We should also note that the report doesn't find that Israel stood in the way of the delivery of humanitarian aid into Gaza, even though our own CNN reporting has revealed that our reporting is that they have. Now, the important thing about this report, it points out the challenges of making determinations on this front because of the...
What is going on?
...in certain specific incidents, or if they didn't. It's also noteworthy that the report very clearly says that Israel has the capabilities, they have the expertise to avoid a high number of civilian casualties, but that the United States thinks that there are, quote, questions as to if the IDF use those capabilities and is using them effectively. So where do we go from here? Well, this report has been shared with Congress. There aren't any policy implications that must come out of this report. But what we're really going to watch to see is the ongoing dialogue between the U.S. and Israel on this front. According to a senior State Department official, Israel has provided information when the United States has asked for that information.
Guys, you don't understand. Congress is too busy right now. Congress is too busy right now. Doing what, you might ask? Serving you the 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour? Definitely. Which you can avoid for
so this
$5
is a pretty
or for free.
open-ended continuation
But
after
also,
this
what is
report has
Congress?
been
What else is
provided to
Congress
Congress.
doing?
And I think it's worth noting that Senator Van Hollen, who's been pushing for this report, saying that his need to make sure review these instances to make sure that Israel is acting in accordance with international humanitarian law. He has received the report, and he said that it is, quote, ducking the key questions. He does not believe that it adequately digs into the details that he believed this report needed to. And he said that there are political reasons for that, basically making the case that the administration didn't want to come out and say in a lot of these specific instances that there was violations of humanitarian law.
Yeah, and of course it comes in the wake of the message by President Biden and the decision by the Biden administration to restrict weaponry, certain weaponry to Israel, of course, if indeed we see an expansion of the operation in the Rafah part of Gaza. Kylie Atwood, great to have you with us. Thank you. Let's get more context on this now. I'm joined now by Major General James Spider Marks. Major Marks, fantastic to have you on the show with us.
Let's go. What does the spider rapist have to say about this?
Into English and military, what this means or may mean for what we're seeing in Gaza, and I think specifically Rafah too.
Yeah, Julia, thank you for letting me join you. I think there are several things that we do need to explain about this report. Number one is, frankly, it's not surprising that weapon systems might be used unintentionally, and that's one of the points as well, is what is the intent of the use of these weapon systems by the IDF. If there is specific intent to go after civilian targets, then you've got a significant problem. That's not the issue here at all.
I don't know I don't know if I was joking about the spider thing. No, his name is literally fucking Spider Marks. I just like to call him Spider Rapist because I think it's funnier.
In other words, you go through the collateral damage assessment piece, then you make a determination as to whether this weapon system is the right weapon system to be used against this target so you can minimize the damage to the non-combatants. The other thing that's, I think, not surprising is the State Department up front said, look, this is based on incomplete information. This is not everything that we can get our hands on. So the initial assessment, not determination.
It's always like generals like Mad Dog Mattis, Spider Rapist, all these fucking guys that get CNN slots after they're done with their career overseeing the death and destruction of 14-year-old brown children overseas.
That every weapon system that's ever been used, sadly and unfortunately, you migrate into some of the determinations that there is some collateral damage that you'd like to try to avoid.
There are a number of elements in this, to your point, and I spotted that immediately, as you said. The US does not have complete information to verify in many cases. One, because as they point out, they don't have representatives on the ground that can assess this. They also point out, as we've heard time and time again, Hamas seeking to hide behind civilian populations, which complicates the picture. You understand the challenges of operating in a battlefield environment and the challenges and the decisions, to your point, that have to be made at this moment. To the point of that Kylie was making about there are ways perhaps to avoid civilian casualties, do you think this is damning in the sense that it's suggesting that the IDF could do better in many respects to avoid the loss of human life? And what are the implications? Because as we've seen, President Biden has chosen to restrict certain forms of weaponry if indeed we see a greater escalation of violence in Rafah.
Yeah, perfect point. Look, the challenge this administration has from the outset, or at least over the course of the last couple of months, have gone to the IDF, gone to Netanyahu and said, look, you guys need to moderate the way you're conducting this operation. Now, that's very difficult from the standpoint of the IDF. You've got a nation that's been very generous, incredibly supportive, but they're looking over your shoulder and they're saying, this is how we want you to prosecute this fight. I can understand where the IDF might say, thank you very much, but we've got a significant problem. And we're going to go after this problem alone if we have to. Thank you very much for the support, but please don't get into the details of how we're prosecuting this fight. So you've got this type of tension that always takes place. Look, when the United States provides military assistance to another nation, they do it conditionally. Say, look, here it is. We know what you're trying to achieve, but here are the rules around which you can use this type of weapon system. It makes it very hard for this administration to say at the same time, this is what's incredibly politically difficult. I'm not a political individual here, but our administration is saying we are completely behind the Israelis and their right to establish and defend their sovereignty. However, when you have that semicolon, however, now it becomes qualified to a point where you can start picking it apart. And that's why it's very, very difficult for this administration. But what we've seen on the part of the Israelis is, yep, we're getting your input, America, thank you very much. But they have stated very clearly and very dramatically, right, that we will fight by clawing our way to a victory, if necessary, if we can't get the support that you, United States, has been very generously providing up to date.
Yeah, that challenge, both militarily, I think, and politically, most definitely highlighted in this report. Major General James Spider-Marks, thank you, sir. Okay, now to a exclusive report. Since the war began...
It's so wild that they're like, yeah, no, Israel will fight by any means necessary. Using what? Oh, using our political cover that we've offered them unconditionally for fucking 75 years. Using our weapons that we've given them for the last, you know, almost half of a fucking century. Like, all of that stuff is why Israel thinks it can get away with doing this. It's part of the reason why Israel has the confidence to be able to enact such a genocidal agenda with impunity. Because why should they think anything different? After all, America has never actually punished Israel for any of this shit. You know? It's great. It's wonderful. Anyway, we already watched this coverage and they're replaying it, so that's good. I'm glad that they're replaying this coverage. Now I want to take you to inside of Israel. One talking point that you hear so much from people like the Lion of Israel is that Israeli Arab citizens have equal rights as any citizen in the state of Israel. What you are comparing between Israel and the Palestinians, not the Israeli Arab. Well, of course, if you know anything about Israel, if you know anything about the Israeli Israeli apartheid, the Israeli regime, the ethno-state project of Israel, then you know that to be not true, especially if you are a fan of the Hasanabi broadcast, where I have covered this quite a bit. This person actually does a phenomenal job of covering it and summarizing it in under 2 minutes or under 3 minutes. Let's take a look.
That a few people brought this up because Israel loves to tokenize its Palestinian citizens, and the goal is to portray Israel as this utopia where all of its citizens have complete freedom and equal rights. Let's talk about the Palestinians who hold Israeli citizenship. Did you know that Israel has more than 60 laws that discriminate against the Palestinian citizens of Israel based on their national origin and religion? In terms of access to land, 93% of land in Israel is controlled by the government and allocated by official Israeli agencies. And about 80% of that land is off use for Palestinian citizens for residential, agricultural, or commercial use. There's something called the Admissions Committees Law, which gives Israeli towns and villages the power to reject residential candidates who are inappropriate.
Understand something. This is legal segregation. The Israeli government has made it legally permissible to say, oh, you're an Arab. You are not Jewish. So you can't live in this fucking neighborhood. It's not even redlining. Because redlining, at least like, and it is still awful in policy, and the outcomes are similar. But at least redlining is done through like private financial institutions directed by the federal government and done through this process where there's at least a financial component involved in it that isn't directly being like, no, you're black, you can't live in this fucking neighborhood, right? This is directly in the law. It straight up is directly in the law. You are Arab, which means you are not Jewish, which means you can't live in this fucking neighborhood. That's a real thing. Don't worry, we'll get to the marriage stuff in a second. That's why it's hilarious that motherfuckers say Israel is such a democratic country. It's the best, most moral, most democratic country on the planet. Suck my fucking dick.
Appropriate for the social and cultural fabric, aka Palestinians. In terms of property, over decades, Palestinian citizens of Israel have been pushed into their own overcrowded communities with very little room to expand to make way for Jewish citizens. Palestinian neighborhoods face a lot of restrictions, including an extreme difficulty in obtaining building permits. And as a result, they face the threat of house demolitions. An estimated 60...
They're like 90 7% of demolitions are Palestinians.
To 70,000 Palestinian homes are at risk of full demolition. Palestinian citizens are only 20% of the Israeli population, but as of 2015, their homes represented 97% of all.
97% of all demolition orders issued by the Israeli courts were against Palestinian citizens of Israel. 97%! You think that's just an accident? Fuck no. Many of them are Bedouin too.
All demolition orders issued by Israeli courts. And I'm not talking about the West Bank. These are Palestinian citizens of Israel. In terms of family reunification and immigration, Israeli law denies naturalization for Palestinians from the West Bank and Gaza who are married to Israeli citizens. This forces thousands of Palestinian families.
Listen, this is something that, like, straight up, Israeli citizens are not even fucking aware of. Like, they literally don't even know this shit, where they're like, what? What? That's crazy. I don't believe you. This is Hamas. You are saying Hamas things. Like the fucking one teenager that I talked to, where I was literally like, bro, do you know what an apartheid is? And he's like, I do not know what an apartheid is. And then I literally told him about the fact that you can only have your citizenship status be lowered under the Israeli court structure if you are married to a Palestinian, and not the other way around. It's not just that the Israeli land administration controls 93% of land. About half of that ILA's board is filled by a Jewish national fund whose explicit mandate is to sell and develop land for Jews only. The report she brings up from HRW on land discrimination is a classic and a must read. Yeah. This is a lie. I saw TikToks from a bunch of Israeli influencers who showed us that all Palestinians living in Israel, living peacefully and freely. Does this look like apartheid to you? Yeah. The liar of Israel. I can't tell if you're like, no, I'm not Israeli, I'm joking. I know he is on my side, but at first he said, this is a lie. So I thought he was saying, like, I saw the TikToks. Anyway, but he's right. Those TikToks do exist. We have obviously made fun of those TikToks quite a bit because of these obvious facts that are, inside of the Israeli, these are the rules of Israel for the most part. This is rules and regulations that are codified, institutionalized. Its discrimination is absolutely apparent to anyone who is not brain broken by Zionist propaganda.
Is to either live apart from their loved ones or move, while Jews from anywhere in the world can move to Israel and obtain automatic citizenship. These are just some of the racist Israeli laws that are designed to engineer demographics in order to maintain a Jewish majority while exacerbating the decline in Palestinian prosperity. The only way to successfully do this is by directly or indirectly discriminating against your own Palestinian population. As Benjamin Netanyahu says, Israel is not a state of all of its citizens. Israel is the nation state of the Jewish people and only it. So you can be a Jewish state or you can be a democracy. You can't be both.
Yep. So when you find that out, and this is, by the way, the premium class of Palestinians. Remember, Palestinian citizens of Israel are those who, up until 1967, were living under similar situations to the West Bank Palestinians were, right? Military mandate, military rule, no housing rights, no liberties whatsoever. 1967, Israel actually says, all right, we're going to be nicer to the Palestinian citizens of Israel. We can maybe even use them for propaganda. Why? Because in 1967, it then expanded on its operations in the West Bank and over the Gaza Strip. So at that point, then the apartheid turns on the West Bank Palestinians and the Gaza Strip Palestinians, right? They're called 48 Palestinians as well, yes. No, they are not house Palestinians. That's gross as fuck to say. Many of them are literally being brutalized by the Israeli government, as we openly showed you right here. The only difference is those Palestinian citizens of Israel, which are considered Arab by the Israeli government, as in they too are of Arab descent, just like almost all of the Mizrahi and Sephardi Jews. Well, not all of the Mizrahi, but all the Sephardi Jews and some of the Sephardi Jews as well. While those guys are of a similar ethnic origin, they are Christian or Muslim. and therefore they are not Jewish, and therefore they are called Arab under the Israeli demographic classification. So that's number one. That's very important. Those guys that Israelis who defend Israel, Zionists who defend Israel, oftentimes love talking about. Like, they'll be like, oh, well, what are you saying? There's an Arab fucking Supreme Court justice that actually literally imprisoned one of the Jewish prime ministers. Like, are you kidding me? Right? Except they don't give a fuck about Arabs, dog. Even though there are Bedouin, even though there are literally Bedouin and Arab IDF soldiers and shit that they love parading around like tokens, and those guys are fucking tokens, okay? The rest of the Arab society in Israel, the Christian and Muslims, the Palestinian citizens of Israel, are obviously still brutalized by a two-tier criminal justice system in general. Not to the same degree as the West Bank Palestinians, and certainly not to the same degree as the Gazan Palestinians, but there is still an apartheid in effect inside of Israel as well, inside of Israel proper, inside of the 6-7 boundaries. I mean, not even the 6-7 boundaries, like just straight up inside of the green line. You will not hear that shit, though, anywhere. You will never hear that shit from our mainstream media that literally turns around and says Israel is the most moral nation, Israel's the best nation, Israel's the best goddamn... Israel is the best goddamn democracy on the planet. Only democracy in the Middle East? Fuck it. Fuck the Middle East. The only democracy on the planet. Yeah. And as we already mentioned, obviously, Israel's Knesset passed a law barring Palestinian spouses. Legislators approved law denying naturalization of Palestinians from the West Bank or Gaza who are married to Israeli citizens. They fucking hate miscegenation over there in general. Well, if that were true, why does he have to keep saying it? The reason why I have to keep repeating the facts about Israel over and over again is because most mainstream outlets that are supposed to disseminate correct information, that are supposed to educate you on the process, are lying to you. That is precisely the reason why I have to consistently repeat myself, because many people understandably see all of that shit and take it for granted. After all, why shouldn't they take it for granted? I did cover Eurovision, guys. Come on, please. That ass Meme, I literally yelled at you earlier, and now you're saying, don't get me started again. Anyway, let's continue. Akbar Shalid Ahmed, who is the senior diplomatic correspondent for Huffington Post, interviewed Senator Chris Van Hollen, U.S. Senator from Maryland, who required the report that we just briefly covered and had led Congress in questioning Biden's Gaza policy, and will share his thoughts here. The Biden administration falls short of making difficult determinations in specific cases, he says. It fails to do the hard work of making an assessment and ducks the difficult questions that the report was designed to determine in terms of international plus U.S. violations of law. In addressing Israel's handling of humanitarian aid, especially, the administration failed to do the assessment that was required over the entire period, he says, creating conditions that have led to the death and starvation. Instead, they focused on limited recent changes, he notes. He sees big gaps in the administration's report when it comes to looking at specific cases of the use of weapons. They're ducking determination on politically inconvenient cases, Van Hollen says of the Biden admin, noting damning findings from NGOs the admin office cites. Congress is going to want to look into specific cases because the report is incomplete, lacking in analysis of incidents they seem clearly represent misuse of U.S. weapons. Yeah. The Biden administration just announced that it has accepted the Israeli government's assurances that it is not violating U.S. or international law in its prosecution of the war in Gaza, a conclusion at odds with the assessment made by UN and international aid groups. The Biden admin also conceded that Israel's use of U.S. weapons in its bombardment of Gaza may have violated international humanitarian law designed to protect civilians. They may have. Chris Van Hollen continues. As I read this report, the Biden administration is taking at face value many of the representations made by the Netanyahu government, But when there's clear independent evidence of the contrary, they don't make a final conclusion. When you don't have the necessary information, no conclusion can make sense, but it's not credible that the U.S. government has less information than orgs like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and Oxfam. Says he's independently verified reports that U.S. government experts in human rights law plus aid delivery were overlooked in preparing the assessment. If this conduct complies with international standards, God help us all, because that would set a very low bar for what is allowed. What they're trying to do is make clear they recognize how bad the situation is, but they don't want to have to take any action, Van Hollen says, of Biden admin. NSM would be most useful if judgments can be based on facts and law and not driven by what we wish facts and law were. Just something to consider. So they literally said, we're taking Israel's word for it. Also, we found that there are instances that may have violated international law and maybe even U.S. law, but we're not going to look too further into it. And also, we will not cut flow of arms because we're monstrous pieces of shit. Very cool.
Damn, this guy's good.